Hi, and welcome to Twin Flames Between Worlds podcast. My name is Tabitha.
And I'm Liesl.
Hi, and welcome to our final episode of Season 3 of A Court of Wings and Ruin by Sarah J. Maas.
Woo!
Aw, yeah. Like, I'm sorry, you went excited, and I was like, aw, I mean, it's bittersweet.
It is bittersweet, but also exciting that this is that we're almost done with another season.
Yes, an end of a season and a beginning of another adventure. But before we move on to that adventure, today is another very special day. We have my dad, my padre, returning once again to give his dude's perspective of this book.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi, Daddy. So, are you excited for this?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Pre-recording, you said you were more excited for this one than the last one.
Yeah.
Okay, so
we're gonna find out how.
And before we start asking Dad some questions, we just want to remind everybody we are explicit. We will cuss, so please be wary of little listening ears, and/or if you don't fucking care, and just let it go. But beyond further ado, we'll get us started.
Mm-hmm. So yes, just starting us off, just an overall question: what was your overall reaction to the book, and did you have any favorite or least favorite moments?
Oh yeah. Overall, I thought it's pretty cool. When the second book ended and we started this, I wanted to see how she was going to do, Freya was going to do in the Supreme Court, and if she was going to tear it up real soon or what she was going to do, So that was one of my favorite parts to start off with, to see how she was going to do and what she was going to do,
He was so excited that he didn't finish listening to our episodes yet, and so I had to make him wait. He's like, I don't want to wait. I want to listen to the next book. And I was like, you haven't fucking listened to your episode yet of last season. Listen to the second season.
But that was fun. That was one of my favorite parts when she went into that in the Supreme Court, and then Lucian and Alice you could tell that they knew that she wasn't.
She was. They saw through her.
Yeah, I don't think they wanted. Alice definitely didn't want to get caught up in what she was going to do, because she knew shit was going down, and she didn't know what was going down, but she didn't want to be a part of it.
Yeah.
So, but I think she seen through that.
Mm-hmm.
And then there were some other parts way down the line at the end that kind of shocked me. Didn't surprise me. It just kind of shocked. But yeah, overall, yeah, I thought the book was great. So,
did you have any least favorite moments, like off the top of your head?
I don't know. I don't think I really had anything that stuck out to me as bad. I mean, I thought it was done rather well.
Tough to get through.
Yeah, well, parts of it, yeah, but then it got to a point where I wanted to keep on listening, because it was getting good,
Yeah.
So
I see. Nice. So, I mean, yeah, let's go into that beginning that you talked about. So, this book started a little differently. It had a prologue of Rhys from the previous 500-year war, and it's different than the other two books because there wasn't a prologue. I mean, there's never a prologue to a first book, but like...
Yeah, but it told you kind of his story and what the backstory was to what they were doing back,
You thought it was cool?
Yeah.
I think it was setting up the whole war. It was setting up... Well, I mean, okay, the whole last book was set up of war, but this one was, here's game time, here's what everybody has been trying to prevent for so long, and now we're finally going back to that.
Right. Well, nobody, I don't think at that point, believed they were going to have a war. A lot of people didn't think that was going to happen.
Yeah.
So, and then some people were on the fence with, Rhys, they thought he was with Hybrid, because they thought because what did he know that everybody else didn't know,
Yeah.
So.
I think I told Liesl at some point in one of our episodes how much it shocked me how little the High Lords knew of anything. And it was like, yeah, but they wouldn't have known because we were in the Night Court, so we knew everything, but nobody else did. So
Right. It was hard to wrap your mind around because you were there as Feyre, in the Night Court learning it, versus, I can't even imagine. They're just they thought Rhys was a complete monster.
Yeah.
So I thought the intro was cool. And then I guess going into Feyre at the Spring Court, what did you think of? Again, there were so many moments that we could go into, but what were the moments that stuck out to you the most at her time at the beginning there of her fucking their day up?
To put it simply.
Well, it's kind of funny how she kind of used Lucian in a way, a little bit, to kind of make Tamlin jealous, Do
you think that she sexually manipulated him?
I think to a certain point, yeah. Because if you walk in on what was happening, I'm like, okay, he's like, what's going on with you guys? And then he kind of thought, yeah, it was.
Sorry, when you mean, so there, I told them last time that there's a thing in the fandom where the people will get mad at Feyre. A lot of people think that what Feyre did here was bad. And that, especially with Lucian, that she sexually manipulated him into getting confused. And it's I'm not defending, I mean, obviously, there was some sort of manipulation here. But I don't think Lucian, I guess when I think of sexual manipulation, it's I'm going to use sex to get something from you.
Yeah.
And so to me, it wasn't like she was trying to get anything from Lucian, and she wasn't trying to get him in trouble, but it's like she was using the jealousy that she knew Tamlin had to screw up Tamlin.
Yeah,
not.
well, I think when he walked in, he was just in the middle of what was happening, and he didn't know what the hell was going on.
Her sweaty, him shirtless,
He's like,
her nightgown.
Whoa, wait a minute, what's going on here?
Especially since literally right before that, Feyre had been flirting with Tamlin all night. Like,
Yeah.
I do feel bad, not Tamlin. Lucian was really just the whole pawn. Like, he was a pawn in the whole game, and it was unfortunate that he was caught in the middle.
But I think in some way, I think he may have not known it at that point, but I think he did, just like, see what was happening.
Well, but to be honest, can we make the argument that he would have been there anyway?
Well,
because
yeah.
all of Mist and Fury, that was Lucian getting the shitty end of the stick when it came to either standing up for Feyre and or like standing up for like what he believed. And so I feel like he would have gotten just as much in trouble, but this just made it worse.
Yeah.
Well, I think Feyre was trying to make him feel similar to what she felt in some ways. I think maybe to
Jealous?
get back at him, maybe, for what happened to him, for what happened to her.
Well, I mean, no, it was fully to get at him. And Ianthe, what'd you think about?
Yeah, I never liked her from day one when, the shit she pulled, but
yeah, what'd you think about her plea and then her, dude, one of my favorite moments was just when Feyre was standing above her in the tent with a knife and her being like wide-eyed waking up. What are you gonna do with that?
They were just casually cleaning the knife. I'm just like, interesting.
yeah, she should have killed her at that point.
You know what? That was an Asriel move.
It was.
So what did you think about the, also on top of Feyre's time there, what did you think about Hybern coming in? What did you think of the incest twins and Jurian?
Yeah, that was a little weird. I'm like, why did they come in here for? To just, see over everything that was supposed to happen?
They came in, the first thing they said was, we only need one room.
The fucking
Like,
incest.
okay.
Did they say they only needed one bed? I don't think they said that. I think it was just one room, but...
No, it was like, we will share a room.
It's like...
So I'm sure they were sent to watch over everything, I'm assuming. And she didn't know what was going on at that point, Feyre, when they came in. Okay, well, why are they here,
So, I guess, what did you initially think of Jurian then? Because on all their trips out to the wall, what did you think of Jurian at first?
Well, at first, I didn't think that he was anybody that could be trusted, and I think she thought the same way. But
wait, sorry, repeat that. You thought that Jurian could be trlasted?
Couldn't be trusted.
Oh, okay.
At that time, because she didn't know what was going on, And I'm kind of like the same way. Well, then later on, maybe he can be. But at that point, no, I wouldn't trust him or them or the twins either. No way. And
well, the twins for sure.
And then what they done? That just
because the biggest two events that happened in spring were, which Liesl always likes to talk about, is the summer solstice scene.
Yeah, the prayers at the break of dawn and that whole ceremony
where it was Feyre shrouded in light and not Ianthe.
Right.
She couldn't find the X marks the spot. She couldn't even find her spot correctly.
I mean, sure, her spot moved a little bit, but it was just a phantom wind,
Yeah.
But the big event was Tamlin whipping his sentries, or his century.
Yeah, which wasn't his fault. Yeah, and he got the whipping for it, yeah.
And it was the description of Tamlin knowing that was the truth, but still doing it anyway.
Because the Hybern Royals and Jurian were watching.
So he had to show that he was...
Big man.
Yeah.
When really it just showed how low he would stoop.
Right.
It was that quote of the sound, the crack of the whip was the sound of the court breaking. So I was kind of like our parents. I didn't feel bad for him at all, but like the outcome then later of the spring court people getting screwed over, like even though that wasn't Feyre's intention, like I think it was going to happen anyway. She just hastened it.
I think it was difficult in that sense because the whole time she was in spring, so many different people got hurt or like used as pawns and then got hurt, and including Lucian and the Sentry, and then of course people. But it was just kind of, I appreciated that she felt bad about it. She's like, I know, I'm sorry, I didn't mean for you to actually get hurt.
It was for the greater good in a sense of, because I feel like we also missed the fact last time of us. The whole reason wasn't also to war. Of course, it was to get back at Tamlin, but it was also to stir up the Hybern pot as well, so that she could figure out what they actually had, which was kind of the more main issue.
Well, then you go back to Alice, and she knew what was going to happen, so that's why she got out of there. She knew.
She got out of there, and then Summer got attacked, and I was like, God damn it!
Everything, everywhere she went. Yeah, well, that wasn't good, but yeah.
Poor Alice.
She knew stuff was going to happen. So
Would you rather be in the Summer Court getting protected by the Illyrians, or would you rather be in Spring being protected by no Illyrians?
Well, I'd rather be in the other.
Rather be in Summer.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they seem to have a nicer high-low, but maybe that's just a personal opinion.
True.
But yeah, so Spring is going to shit. So then comes the whole thing of Feyre deciding that it's time for her to get out of there. So what were your thoughts on her escape, her finally making her way out of Spring?
Oh, with Lucian?
Because wasn't she...
Yeah, like saving Lucian and then the fight with the twins.
She lured them out that one last time they were going and then left. And then found Lucian getting actually assaulted.
Yeah.
What do you think of that whole scene?
I didn't think that was going to go down the way it went down.
I don't think she did either.
Because I didn't.
How did you think it was going to go down?
She didn't think. Well, I thought she might meet her demise at that point, or have to do something else.
Feyre?
Yeah. Because then when Lucian, I don't think she knew where he was at the time. You know what I mean? What side he was actually going to be on. I think that. Yeah.
And then the fight scene.
Yeah.
What'd you think of her being able to defeat those commanders very easily?
Yeah. I was surprised with that.
And her beating Ianthe, making Ianthe kiss her hand.
Oh my god. Well, and especially because
she messed her up.
Let me remind everybody that my dad is just like me. He listens to the graphic audio. Well, I mean, we both have listened to the graphic audio now, but like that's his only frame of reference. So yeah, that was brutal, wasn't it?
Yeah, you could actually hear bones cracking and shit, and that was
that
was
graphic audio.
shit, that hurt. You know,
I can feel it.
Yeah,
yeah, definitely.
So that was okay with me. I mean, she kind of got what she deserved anyway for some of the stuff that she pulled on her. You know. So.
Yeah. What did you think of Lucian deciding that he was going to come with her? Basically saying, "No, I'm coming with you, whether you like it or not," and like their whole adventure through autumn.
Yeah, that was kind of funny because she was like, "Are you sure?" You know, I think she was thinking, "What?"
She didn't trust him at first. She was
and she didn't know. Like I said, she didn't know where he was at in his head or whatever. But what she was trying to do.
In a weird way, it kind of worked out because, like Liesl said last episode, they couldn't go to the middle because that wasn't open anymore. They couldn't go through summer because of the blood ruby that they have. And then autumn, what better person to lead her through the autumn court than one of the sons of autumn?
Well,
he's technically.
Shit they got into with these brothers, yeah.
Yeah, what did you think of like the whole being chased by the other autumn sons?
Yeah, that was kind of funny, dude. But I thought they're brothers, you know, because they don't really care for him too well. So.
Dude, the whole first two books set it up that they sat there and held him back when they decapitated his lover.
Yeah.
And then chased him into Spring.
And they tried to kill him the first time that he tried running away. What do you mean, brotherhood?
Well, yeah. That kind of, all that, that left.
I'm curious what did you initially think of Eris?
I didn't.
His eldest brother.
Yeah, I didn't care for him too well.
No, he's an asshole.
Yeah.
For sure.
Definitely.
We can all stand by that, though.
Yeah.
No matter what, yes, he is.
Yes.
And he's such an ass that he chased them into winter onto a frozen lake. So that was wonderful. What did you think of that fight scene, and specifically the two shadows that came to rescue her? What did you think of the Bat Boys showing up?
Yeah, that was in the graphic. That was kind of funny. You could hear the different sounds.
Oh, the impact of Cassian.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, hot damn.
Yeah. So when they showed up, it was cool.
I think the graphic also, like, the reason that it was so cool this time was because there was so much more sound effects that needed to happen because of all fight stuff. So it made it just more enjoyable. But because then she pronounced, "I'm the High Lady," and then they all went, "Fuck."
Yeah. They're like, wait, what? Uh-oh.
Yeah, we're in trouble now. Yeah, they were.
This is for Liesl's sake. What did you think of the very comical of Sarah having Cassian fly Feyre back and Azriel holding Lucian in like a baby?
Yeah,
and them both very, very uncomfortable.
That was funny.
Even more manly than being carried by another man.
Yeah, that's like riding a motorcycle and having Buddy on the back with you. Yeah.
Oh, like holding you.
Would
you rather hold on or fall off?
We'll get on on at all.
You'd have your own bike on the other side.
Somebody come get you, or you can walk. But yeah, I mean, that had to be hard for him. I know that.
Oh, he got humbled at the night court for sure.
Right.
Very quickly.
It's one of those things where, like, you know, I never brought this up to you. Isn't it so funny that, like, Lucian was technically the fighter. I mean, he wasn't the fighter of Spring, but he was, like, one of the better warriors. And then, like, you go to the night court, and then it's almost like somebody in Indiana saying, like, I'm the best singer. And then they move out to, like, New York, and they're, no, I'm not good at singing as much as I thought I was.
Well, they wasn't for sure where he was at either. You know, he was who he was going to be with. You know what I mean? He was fighting for Farrah, yeah, but they didn't know what, you know.
And it was the case where it's like Lucian it seemed like he had mostly only heard stories of this infamous inner circle. And so, you know, he's
That's
getting
true.
there and he's like, oh shit, these are a bunch of people that I've heard by name and they're terrifying and now they're just chatting in the foyer of a townhouse. What the fuck is happening?
True.
Well, on all the stories that he heard, it could have been totally different, you know.
That's true.
But my favorite part was them coming back to Valaris, and it's like her seeing everybody before Rhys, and then him coming in like a fucking swaggering big man, and was just, indeed she is.
Yeah.
Where can I find that man, Daddy?
I don't.
He doesn't.
That's a unicorn, and I don't think they exist.
Rhys is a unicorn now.
He is. He is.
A unicorn with bat wings.
I just need somebody to sound like Anthony, please. Like, just anybody. Anthony is happily married, so, you know, no, but just anybody that sounds like him. Call me up.
But it was good to see her get back to see, and she wanted to see her sisters right away, too.
So what did you think about that? Because initially when she came, I mean, after the sex, what did you think of meeting the sisters again? Because Elaine and Nesta had very different reactions to becoming immortal, so...
Well, she wasn't sure what she was, how they were, because the last one in time, they had just come out of the cauldron, so that's pretty much the last time she had seen them, so...
Nesta seemed pretty the same, but maybe more feral.
Yeah.
More feral and with more power.
Elaine was just, she wasn't talking to anybody, wasn't talking at all.
Depressed as hell. So what did you think of
She
that?
wasn't eating, she wasn't doing this, yeah. She just wasn't there.
Did you feel bad for her?
Yeah.
Did you feel bad for Nesta?
Nah, not as bad as I did for Elaine.
Interesting.
Because Nesta, to me, was, I don't know, she was always, what do you want to call it?
She was already on her feet.
But I mean, she was always the mean one, you know.
Is it interesting that they went through the same thing, yet you feel bad for one, but not the other?
I know, but growing up with all the sisters, she was always mean to them.
No, I'm not. This is me doing devil's advocate. I'm not saying that Nesta is a full-blown bitch. She is. But isn't that interesting, the cultural stigma behind feeling bad for the one that isn't necessarily maybe talking, but the other one that might be a little bit stronger, but they still went through the same thing, yet you feel bad for one and not the other. I'm not trying to come at you. I'm just
saying that would be that's my thoughts.
Okay, so
I felt bad for Elaine.
But not Nesta.
Not so much for Nesta as I did Elaine, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, Nesta was kind of already back on her feet, like almost immediately, so there's that too.
It's just interesting because I had a different take on Nesta my second read through than I did on the first. I was kind of in the same boat as probably both our moms and dad. Because like Nesta on a first read reads as very, I don't know. You don't feel bad for her necessarily more than Elaine because Elaine's the sweet one, but it's like there's also a level of I feel bad for Nesta in the way that she had to do because Elaine couldn't, and because she had so much responsibility on her that, I mean, fuck the previous bullshit. I mean, yes, she did terrible things to Fair when they were young and wasn't there as a sister, and it still continues to be a terrible sister to the one at least.
Well, then, you know, the old man, he's off doing God knows what, supposedly. When Farrah left, Nesta was kind of, you know, overseer of all of them. And then her dad left, and he goes off and doing God knows what. But anyway, yeah, she was still more of the kind of head of household.
I'm just saying, Nesta on a second, and I think Liesl agrees with me. Nesta on a second reads a little differently than the first one, but again, that's your opinion. So the big two things during this brief intermission that are brought up are two things. One, she asks Azrael to learn how to fly.
Yeah,
makes them surprised by that.
Yeah, falling on her face, hitting trees and stuff like that. He goes, "That tree didn't do nothing to you," or something like that. So yeah, it was quite funny to see her try to fly.
Well, and Asriel was the best one to teach her because they all got taught so young that they don't remember how they're taught. Versus he was taught older.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, and she's older, so.
Well, no, one of the favorite things about the flying moments that I liked was when he talked about because she's older, there's a fear of falling, or that she was human, that there's a fear of falling to death. Because that's very real. Like, because if you go from being, I mean, again, nobody knows this, but unless there's vampires in secret that we don't know, but like somebody gets turned immortal, there's a level of, if I fall from this 6-story building, I'm going to plummet to my death. Versus if it's an immortal, it might just be like a broken leg. So
it's the mental block.
Yeah, which also is also a metaphor for just also normal stuff.
Well, she still had that back of her mind.
Wouldn't you? Like,
yeah. Keep the healer on standby because I'm going to need him or something, you know. But yeah, it'd be in your back of your mind, you know.
So there was that, and then what did you think of the library haven of priestesses? So Reese and Moore set up a haven for all those women that they found over the years that were either very extremely assaulted, even in a worst case, you know, rape. Anything under the sun that happened to these women, they gave them a safe place. What did you think about the library?
Well, that was cool. Yeah.
What did you think about the fact that it was Reese's personal library that he offered up?
I thought that was pretty cool too, as far as that. Yeah.
He kicked the old ass men out of there and put a bunch of women in.
They were not happy.
Yeah. Oh yeah,
they were not happy.
I thought that was cool.
And nobody can get in without their permission.
Right.
I thought it was again, I said this in our last episode, but I think the reason for that was because, it was something that like Reese just showed how much of a good guy he was again, but I think it was also to foreshadow his impending doom of, we're gonna just show you all the good aspects of him, and then it's like, yep, he's gonna die. So, but anyway, before we get there, so they did a bunch of research in that library over time, which was part of the intermission, and then I wanted to put this here because it happens over the book, but it was probably the best put here. What do you think of Lucian and Elaine? Again, they have their first meeting, and they like have that moment where, you know, Feyre's in his mind and whatever, but what do you think of them as a couple? As a mated pair?
Well, I think that would be it's a good couple, but I thought the thing about that, when they all left and he was there, they all bet on him going in to see her, and I said, they're not going to be out the door before he goes in there.
That's true.
I thought that would happen, and it didn't, but later on. But
we never learned who got that.
Who won the bet?
Yeah, but that was funny. And I was like the same way. It's like, yeah, he's going to go in there. But I think that would be a good couple, yes.
You think Lucian and Elaine would be a good couple. Now, what do you think about Asriel? Because there's some subtle hints there of him and Elaine. What do you think of them?
I guess it'd be all right. I mean, I think they match up better with Lucian than her.
You agree with us, Daddy.
Now, on the other hand, Cass and Nesta, I think that'd be perfect. You know, because that's gonna take somebody with her, definitely, and maybe Cass can handle that. I don't know, but
you're probably the only one who could.
Yeah,
the only one who wants to.
Az kind of gets left out in the cold, kind of. Well, from what he's thinking with the other girl, more.
Yeah, that's
we found out later on what. Yeah. So yeah, that's probably nice.
So he kind of is left alone.
So he's kind of left out cold. I see.
Because obviously, again, there's 2 more books. We're as much in the dark as you about their standing. Is she gonna go with Asriel? Is she gonna go with Lucian? There's hints to both, but Lucian is the mate.
Well,
Let's see.
She found out later on in the book what her fiance was.
We'll get there for sure.
Yeah.
I just wanted to see what you thought. So it's interesting that you're kind of in the same boat as us. It's interesting that you say that on the first read, because most people go with Asriel on the first read. So you're a very rare individual.
You're very rare.
No, but we agree with you.
That's for sure. But that's my thoughts on that.
Okay.
I mean, I would be.
So the next kind of big event that happens is they make their way back to the Court of Nightmares, and then they have that meeting with Kier and their surprise guest, Eris. What did you think of that meeting? Did you expect Eris to be there?
No.
No, I didn't either.
Neither of us.
So I don't. Well, she didn't know who she was, right? When they.
I think I understood what you meant by that. Are you saying Reese is the only one who knew that he was coming?
Right.
Well, sorry, Reese and Azriel knew he was coming.
Mm-hmm. Which Moore felt
meant?
betrayed by that.
So Moore and Feyre didn't know.
Right.
And then basically they made a deal. Kier would give his legion if Reese gave him access to Valaris, and also brokered a deal with Eris to. Well, okay, sorry. That situation was so complicated because Reese originally thought that if he brought Eris, the deal would be done. Kier wouldn't ask for Valaris, just Eris. But no, Kier still wanted Valaris. So now he's got both.
Greedy
Kier was
bastard.
again, in my politics brain, Kier won that deal 100%.
Hmm.
Yeah, access to Valaris, well, again, that's kind of a TBD because he never said when or how he'd be gaining
Or
access.
for how long.
Yeah, so, but Eris is also, now they have to promote Eris and retaking Autumn from his father. Which, fuck, I don't give a shit.
Here's a greedy bastard.
Yeah, Kier's an asshole.
Yeah.
So you have no thoughts about that? Just, that's it? That's...
Yeah, that's all nice.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah. Interesting. So we just wanted to actually ask, just like a overall general kind of thing. What did you think about the bone carver kind of throughout the book? But they go to visit the bone carver multiple times throughout the book. What were your thoughts on that?
Yeah, that was always funny that when they went to see or visit him, they had to take something normally.
Well, it's funny that every time, like at first time, Reese brought the bone from the adder, from the Valaris attack. And then there was another time where he literally brought like a lunch bone and threw it to him.
A chicken bone, just a small little chicken bone.
And he hissed at them.
Yeah.
And then Feyre just gave up and then didn't bring him stuff the last 2 times.
Well,
And he was just chill.
and he would show himself differently to each one.
Well, but we don't know who
What
everybody saw.
Well, who,
She saw the same thing consistently.
yeah, a little kid, little boy.
And who was that?
I'm assuming that would be their kid,
Mm-hmm.
We still don't know who Cassian saw.
Some people think it was his mom, and I was like, oh, he would have had a very visible reaction if it was.
I've also seen, though, that people have said that he trains his emotions enough that if he saw his mom, he wouldn't react. And it's like, no, I think he would.
Well, he didn't want to be there. He wanted to get out of there, too.
Well, no, he wanted to be there because he wanted to see what he'd say about Nesta.
That's true.
Though, okay, so what did you think of the whole Ouroboros thing? Like, throughout the whole thing, that it was, like, something that was consistently thrown in there, but, like, really have any payout until the end. He said, I'll only help you if you get this. And then the whole time, everybody was saying that if you look into it, it'll be bad, you'll go mad. Like, there's no getting it.
Yeah, I thought it was epic.
Mm-hmm.
I thought the idea of that, like, overcoming it was cool. This, like, something that somebody said that nobody can overcome. It's like,
and then
out of all the people that could, it'd be her. But
it's funny how, ends up with the bone carve,
Yeah.
The kind of deals that he made were not going to happen anyway. Really. Well, maybe. Who knows? Did they die or did they? Who knows?
Interesting.
We don't know.
Yeah, lots of questions related to that.
Yeah.
For sure. Another Prithian monster that was on the battlefield, Bryaxis, the wonderfully sweet monster, in my opinion. What are your thoughts on Bryaxis?
The darkness in the bottom of the library.
Yeah, the library, yeah. Yeah, that was, the only thing he wanted was, a window to the outside so you could see.
And some company.
And it was like Reese, when she came back and told Reese, she says, maybe we can fix that or something. So.
All he's gonna ask for.
But he did. Yeah, well, he helped him. He helped him with the two guys.
The Ravens.
Yeah.
Yeah, they helped him with them.
Mm-hmm.
Can I just say, one of the funniest things when Dad was reading this book was he stopped, because again, the graphic audio, like, stopped in between, like, part 2 and 3. So he didn't get Bryaxis' name until, like, a little while longer. And so the thing was, he kept asking me what his name was. Like, does that thing have, like, a name in the library or whatever? And I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah, and then when I started listening back to it again, it's like, okay, there it is.
I think the funniest thing that you said was just about how Cassian was unnerved.
Yeah.
The whole whiskey when they came back from that.
Yeah.
Start drinking.
What do we do? Drink.
Right.
She tries to put it down and he's like, no, I'm serious, drink.
So I thought, so whatever his thoughts were on seeing it, he didn't like it.
Isn't it a bit strange how, like, Cassian was terrified out of his mind from seeing Bryaxis, albeit it was like 500 years ago, but, running into him, he was terrified, and now Feyre is just casually having conversation and making bargains and being like, like, oh, he's actually kind of nice.
Right. Yeah, and they saved their ass. So.
Right.
Honestly, I love Bryaxis, and I think both my mom and Mary both agreed of just like, yeah, wholesome, adorable.
He's so cute.
Yeah. And once again, we don't know if
he's gone. He's fucking.
Yeah, we don't know where he is.
He's in the Bahamas, man. Like he's just chilling.
Yeah, what's he gonna come back later on and say, hey, pop back, can I get that window now?
Because bargains are
not window shopping.
Bargains were specific, and when they made that deal of help, she never said when he had to be back.
Mm-hmm.
She never made that with any of them.
That's true.
So magic is specific, and so it was never said.
Yeah, he's just out shopping for windows, so he can tell what design he wants.
He'll be back.
But there was another thing too. How are all these monsters related? They're related in some.
So the only ones that are actually related are Striga the Weaver and the Bone Carver and Koseche. Dude, Shannon got me on calling him Koseche because or like Kosechi. She's just like, you gotta call him Koseche, don't say Kosechi.
Honestly, I like Kosechi better.
We do. We like Kosechi. Anyway, the lake. So that's the person that's Vasa's keeper. Again, they never specifically said that, but like it was implied through the text. Okay. Because when the Bone Carver had his big monologue, he said that I have an older brother, and which Liesl pointed out, Striga and the Bone Carver are twins. They're fraternal twins. And so technically, yeah. But they're death gods from another world. So when I gave this kind of brief breakdown to Jenny. They all showed up within that 15,000 rift. And like my take from that is that the bunch of different worlds opened up at the same time and they all just fucking intermingled. So it's like every universe has a rift event of some sort. Where that happened, where like will intersperse. And these just ones happen to be related. I don't think Bryaxis or the other people are related. They're just monsters from a different world that the only thing they have in common is they're all 15,000 years old.
Yeah, and they got put in somewhere. The Bone Carver's in where he's at.
Well, isn't that the whole like civilization thing though? Because like it seemed like Bryaxis was there before the library got built. So it seems like the library was built around it.
They were wanting people away from other people.
I mean, did you want Striga just going around?
Yeah.
Yes, sorry.
Or it was just the case I've mentioned in some of the in our previous episodes, like just jokingly, if they were just chilling, they were like taking a nap somewhere and the building went up around them.
Right. Some of them were put into the prison and then some of them are just scattered around. Like it seems like Kosechi is just on the fucking lake vibing and having his own dominion versus Carver wants to be in there because he's scared of his siblings.
Right.
He's like, no, I don't want to get out of here.
Which is kind of unnerving for the future because that totally made me think that Kosechi is dangerous. But
anyway, I would assume so.
Why would he be so scared?
Right.
But
the scary older brother. I don't know.
Anyway, that's a topic for
Yeah. But speaking of the library, another just general topic of just more of the library and the priestesses, and I guess, yeah, so specifically talking about the library, I guess, yeah, we can ask what your thoughts were on Clotho. She seems to be kind of the head priestess there, kind of keeps everything in check. And then I'm also curious about what you thought about, I mean, this kind of goes hand in hand with Bryaxis, but the books down in the pit. I'm curious what you think about, like, what kind of books would be down there and why they're down there. Like, do you think Bryaxis could be guarding them or something?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not quite sure on that. The nature of the books would be
because she was making her way down there blind. Like she felt a bunch of books. Do they go down there and actually get those books, or like are they restricted? Point like the Harry Potter book where it screamed at him when he opened it up. Like I think of those restricted books.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, yeah, always you had the restricted area,
Well, this is restricted. Like also, I don't want to go down their level of restricted.
Well, right, but I don't know if he was guarding them or not. I mean, I'm like you. I think he was just down there, and people didn't want to go down there, but the books might have been okay, maybe. Who knows? But they just didn't want to go down there because he was down.
But it did say something like the priestesses never were. He never hurt.
Right.
Which kind of suggests that they did go down there.
Yeah. So then Clotho was the woman who got her hands wrecked so bad that she can't write.
And her tongue cut out.
And her tongue, oh god.
So she couldn't speak.
She's a bad bitch, though.
She 100% is.
She's such a bad bitch. I thought it, because I think that Liesl put it so well when we were reading it the first time. She's like, oh fuck, Feyre saw her hands and like went, Ianthe.
Well, yeah,
like,
she kind of did that. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
Clotho didn't deserve it, though.
No.
That's true.
Isn't that funny, though, that those guys who did that to her were like, I'm gonna break your hand so you can't write, I'm gonna cut your tongue so you can't say anything, and then Daimati Reese comes walking in, and he's like, oh shit, never thought about that.
Right.
And then on top of that, Clotho was still able to write.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Well, I suppose she used her magic to assist in the writing.
Yes, she uses magic to write.
But honestly, I feel like Clotho kind of has a sense of humor now, too. Like, she seems like a sassy badass.
It's owning your trauma, which I think is I appreciate something about her, is that, again, she'll never, like, forget or, like, forgive, but there's a level of owning it and taking that and taking the situation and turning it into something, like her being the quote-unquote leader or, I guess, secretary of this place. She's, like, the first person that you see.
Yeah. Well, you can do one thing with something that happens to you like that. You can either run with it or you can just go and hide. And she ran with it.
I had a good story. I had an accountant teacher who lost 2 of his fingers in a chainsaw. Not chainsaw, but he had the table saw, and he was like doing something for his son, and it malfunctioned, and it came down on his hand, and like, oh yeah, it was bad. And so it was like weird. He lost like the middle finger and the pinky finger, but he had these 2. So it was like a weird. I feel like if he lost this, like I feel like it would have been easier. But something happened with could have saved his hand, but crappy doctors around here didn't ice it or they cauterized his hand. And so they blocked off the blood vessel so he couldn't get them reattached.
Yeah.
And so every Halloween, he was my accounting teacher, for God's sake. I didn't think this man would have a sense of humor at all. But he lost his fingers around like Halloween. And so now every Halloween, his new students, when they ask about what happened to his hand, he'll make it a Halloween story.
Well, your grandma she lost her 2 fingers in that machine.
Yeah.
But we were in where it was. We were checking out somewhere, and the dude behind the counter says, I see you was reaching for the last hot dog on the plate. And I thought that was so funny when he said that. And she just took it and started laughing and stuff like that. So, yeah, that's pretty.
Wait, what was supposed to be? What was that joke? I don't get it.
He said, was you reaching for the last 2 hot dogs on the plate and somebody got your fingers?
Oh.
So, and it was funny, and we all laughed about it. I said that was probably the most funny thing that ever happened while we were with her. Now, a lot of times they would give her change back and put her hand like that, with chains and stuff.
Well, because some people, when something happens like that to them, or like a face disfigurement or any like physical disfigurement, there's a level of I'd rather have somebody joke about it than, or like us have a good laugh collectively about it, more than somebody scared to talk to me.
Right. But like I said, the rest of her time,
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, you can either run with it, and the doctors thought she was getting down, and they asked her, she goes, what can I do now? I just got to go on. He goes, you'll do all right, So it's just a mind,
It's a good lesson. It's a good life lesson.
Yeah.
Sorry to go off on that, but it was really important to say it. So yeah, this is kind of where shit starts hitting. The intermission is kind of stopping. Peace has been disrupted. So now, speaking of the library, we talked a little bit about it before, but the Raven attack. What did you think of? Because I think the Raven attack was significant in the fact that Hybern was now not trying to dismantle the city, but he was trying to steal one person.
Yeah.
He used all the spell to steal one person.
But at that point, I thought he was after Nesta.
And he was.
That was who he was after. But how could he get his people in there? You know what I mean? After they was guarding Verlaris that whole time, and he got him in there,
Because he had that one just Deus Machina spell that he could just use and break any ward in existence, and that's the only time he could use it. Magic is sometimes dumb.
So that happened, but they got their comings out. What they got?
Well, yeah, because the Ravens came in, and yes, they got destroyed by Bryaxis, and then destroyed by Baby Reese.
Yeah.
So
Bryaxis was so polite about it. Would you like me to kill them for you?
Yeah, I thought that was pretty funny.
I think the the coolest moment of that though was, and I'd love to see this in a like an actual adaptation, was the level of them shining the light, and then all of a sudden them seeing it, and then them start like her closing her eyes.
Yeah, that specific moment of, and I mentioned this in our episode where we talked about it, but the moment of them grinning and smirking at her, showing the light, and then looking at her, and then above her head, and then above her head, and then suddenly just faces full of terror.
Yeah, it's like, oh shit, we're done. And pretty much was, yeah.
It was bad. And you heard on the graphic, you heard their screaming, getting ripped apart. It was bad.
Yeah.
But the Ravens attack also proved 2 things. Number one, that Nesta was more important to more important to the king than Feyre was. And number 2, Elaine. Elaine foresaw all of that, and she tried warning them.
Yeah, but they wasn't getting it.
There was only one person that sort of got it, and that was Azriel.
Yeah.
It made sense to him.
But it all was happening fast.
But to be fair, why would they fucking know that? How would they? You don't really, it's one of those things that you don't get proven until it's proven, right?
Mm-hmm.
It would make sense that she sounds like gibberish, because the first time they talk to her, she's just like, I hear things. And I'm like, okay.
Also, like, one of the first visions she had was a fiery feather on snow. And
like,
that didn't happen right away, so they had no proof that the twin ravens would happen right away.
So what do you think about the fact of her being a seer? She not only foresaw Hybern coming, but she also foresaw Vasa and explained what happened to her, and, you know, now that she's basically a phoenix by day, human by night, a reverse Fiona, if you will. No, that fucked me up. I was like, wouldn't she be a firebird by night? Because I'm thinking of Shrek. And I'm like, no, she's a firebird by day, human by night.
Yeah.
But what do you think about the fact of her being a seer?
Elaine.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I think when she come out of the cauldron, that's what she got, you know. But then trying to believe her, it's like, is she just crazy or what?
Well, the important difference here, and what I'm trying to dig at, is the fact that Nesta was given she wasn't given anything. Nesta wasn't given anything. She took it, whether she meant to or not. So, Liesl, me and Dad talked, and it's like, the visualness of Nesta getting thrown in the cauldron, there's a level of, she was fighting till the end to get out. And so, in her fighting, it's almost like she grabbed something she wasn't supposed to, and she came out.
On the way out, yeah.
And she came out with too much power.
Mm-hmm.
So the difference between her and Elaine is they both got changed into Fae, but Nesta took something for the cauldron while Elaine was gifted something. The cauldron loved Elaine so much going in that the cauldron gifted her something. What do you think of that?
Well, they still was trying to, getting back to Elaine, yeah, the way it all ended, I mean, that kind of made sense. She was the one that was supposed to end it all. She was, basically. But,
so you're implying that the cauldron knew that Elaine was destined to do that, so you're saying that he gifted her.
She was the one.
Huh.
I mean, I guess we did kind of mention something similar to that in a couple of our theory episodes. We kind of theorized that the cauldron, we didn't understand why the cauldron was working with the King of Hybern, and we kind of theorized that it had a sentience, and it was just being with the pronoun game. The cauldron was just with the king for some reason, and then, so that actually fits in with that of, it was just biding its time until it found someone worthy to defeat the king, maybe? But why would that be Elaine, is what I don't know.
The cauldron knew it was fate or something.
Well, I think it would be somebody that would never have been, would never thought in a million years that it would be her, which I didn't either. But Nesta, they thought she took some. Okay, what'd she take? We got to figure it out. That's why they wanted her. Well, if she took something, she don't know what she took.
And they still by the end of this book, you don't really know necessarily what she took, just that she has this sort of raw power.
Yeah, that's where it comes back to that cauldron. Put in Elaine, you're the one. You're the one.
The chosen one.
You're going to be the one to do this and finish.
So is she done? Her purpose is over?
No, I don't think so. I don't.
Because there is 3 more books.
No, I don't.
The purpose is over.
And they still got to do something with the cult, so what are they going to do with that,
Well,
they got to figure that out.
They technically did, so.
But I think that, to me, that's what I got out. And then when the way it all ended is, okay, so that's what it was.
So then the next big violent attack after the Ravens was literally immediately after this. I think Lucian leaves to go do the Vasa adventure, and then.
Which I think that was a good thing that he did leave, because he couldn't do nothing there.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
I mean, and, he couldn't fly, so hell, they take him up to wherever he was at. He's just stuck. I'm like, I got that too, that was like, damn, he's stuck.
Oh, you mean when they got all put up at the House of Wind, and then, they couldn't come down?
They're stuck.
Yeah.
That was
Maybe he could have taken the stairs.
10,000 steps.
But yeah, I mean, and 2, if it had been me, I'd have done the same thing. I wouldn't have. Yeah.
It was to keep them under supervision.
Well, yeah.
But also being alone.
Yeah, but you feel like, I think he felt like that he wanted to do something, but he couldn't. This is his way of doing something to get out there.
And did he really do anything? Like, no, it already all happened.
We don't know that, though. We don't know what happened on their adventure.
That was behind the scenes, yeah. He was actually doing stuff. He just didn't hear about it till the end.
We kind of are theorizing that one of her novellas is going to be about that, because there's no way that that would be such a perfect monetary opportunity to write that shit. There's no way. But yes, so Lucian leaves, and then the summer court gets attacked. Amren comes in, my baby! No.
I mean, that's basically what it was.
was just in the Amaran way of, you're going fucking right now. Varian sends her a message that says, we're being attacked. This man sent her a message saying, we're getting attacked. You need to protect yourself. Bitch. So what did you think of the Summer Court attack and them going and being the only court to go and help save them?
Yeah, I thought that was in his kind of the grand scheme of things. If he wanted help in the big picture, he needed to go help them. You know, so that was his way of saying, "Hey, we're with you. You guys need to be with us." And I thought that was the way that I seen that.
In a weird way, Summer getting attacked helped Rhys prove himself that he actually cared about this.
Right. And, yeah, he wasn't a monster. He was somebody that wanted to save your people.
No matter
not kill them, no matter what. You know,
no matter what happened between them personally.
Right. So I think that helped out. You're right, in a way.
I thought the coolest thing about this first show was like Sarah, again, in her really good writing. It's almost like we were building up to everything, right? Because this was like another version of the Valaris attack, except Feyre was more like there was more fighting involved, and there was more killing, and it was very much these weren't monsters this time. I also like that very subtle difference, right? These were human, whatever. These were humanoid soldiers that they were killing versus monsters, zombies, monsters, whatever, you know, you could use. There's a level of, okay, we'll kill them and there's no really repercussion. But killing your own kind and everything is like, there's a level to that of hard worseness.
Yeah. That's like the cliche of, if we're using your zombie example, of like, if you're in a zombie apocalypse and you're fighting off the zombies, that's great. But then if you turn on one of your teammates and just kill them because you're scared they might turn into a zombie, that's where it's like, okay, that gets bad.
I mean, even though we don't like Hybern, there's a level of, these are just peon soldiers that are working for the greater cause. I mean, whether or not they're racist bigots, you know, they probably all are, but I'm just saying.
Well, that goes back to Feyre when the twins killed them.
Oh, the humans for doing nothing? Yeah.
She was pissed off about that.
Yeah,
so that's pretty much why she ended them.
Yeah, for sure.
So.
And then we had that moment with Rhys and the King, and this leads up to the High Lord meeting of level of the King. I wanted to bring this up because I didn't bring it up with our moms, but the King kind of prompted their change in strategy going into the High Lord meeting because he was threatening them, because now now the key important players know that the truth about Rhys. They know that he's actually a good guy, and they know that Valaris exists, and they know he knows the reason the last war and Amarantha weren't bad was because Amarantha had no idea about the inner circle, and now they do. So there's a level of kind of what Feyre was saying before they get to the High Lords meeting, and the famous scene of the tense scene of Rhys's moans over the sounds of the screaming and dying.
Oh, yeah.
The injured and dying.
The injured and dying. Especially on the graphic, that was funny, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But the idea that, okay, why keep it a secret anymore? There's too many people that know about it. Why keep it a secret? And honestly, it maybe worked during Amarantha's time to keep it a secret, but now it's honestly hurting them more than helping them.
Well, I think they were figuring it out that what Hybern was actually doing or going to do, you know? And it's like, Rhys was right. They didn't want to tell him that, but they were, you know,
males.
So, I mean, to their point, they didn't have much choice, you know.
I know. Oh, sorry. Never mind. Sorry, I have one more thing.
You have one.
This is also, so before we get into the High Lords meeting, again, I wanted to put this here because it's happening throughout. So you said at the beginning of how you felt about Nesta and Cassian, but I want to give you the floor for how you think about you. So you think that they're endgame. They're going to be together.
I think so, yeah.
What did you think about their dynamic through the whole book? Because it seemed like Nesta started at the beginning. I mean, Nesta was very Nesta at the beginning, very much like, I'm not going to do this, blah, blah, blah. But then, like, you know, we get further into it and she's, you know, helping out more. And especially during after the summer battle scene when she knew that he was wounded before and nobody else.
Right.
And she was helping him. Like, it seems, and you can totally hate on Nesta. Everybody does. But isn't it interesting that when shit is really hitting the fan, like world-ending level, that she actually comes in clutch.
Yeah.
And she actually will stand up for the right thing.
Yeah. It's kind of when Feyre and Rhys started doing that. It was like banter back and forth, fighting, and this and that. So it's kind of like that with them. You know, they're kind of going back and forth, you know.
Just more insulty? Like...
maybe. Yeah, maybe, you know, it's
more
a little
intense.
Netta, yeah. But
it's way more insulting.
yeah, I see, even on the battlefield, when he got hurt, she was like, you know, so, yeah, I think so. I think she's growing to like him and him to her.
I mean, now she has no choice.
So, yeah, I think that, and she sees who he is. He's a warrior.
And he's a good man
So,
on top of that.
A very good male.
so I think, yeah, that's why I seen that.
I think Liesl and I will agree that I think our least favorite moment during that whole exchange, like in that whole Nesta and Cassian thing, was when he was hurt so he was hurt like the worst time. And Moore came out and she was being such a bitch. She's just like, don't you have like, what is it? Do you have like some water to go get or something?
Don't you have a bucket to fill?
Yeah, and like she was like Nesta was finally coming out of her.
Yeah, man.
I don't want to say she was letting her wall down a little bit more, and then she just had to come in and just.
Yeah.
Or the fact when Cassian, this was the dumbest thing he could have done when he took his hand away when they were sitting there and she was wrapping it, and then Moore was coming, and then he went like, "Oh hey," whatever. It's just like it's the worst thing a man can do.
But find out what.
It's your fault, Ben.
Well,
you speak for all the men here.
I don't know what he was doing.
Dude, ripping some.
Would I have done that? No.
Well, you wouldn't have. Never mind. I was gonna say something. You wouldn't do that when you have this really like hot chick in front of you, and then you know the other person's a lesbian.
Well, he don't know that.
Well, I feel like he subtly does, but I don't think he knows.
When Fair asked, does anybody know?
She's never said it to anybody.
She don't think anybody knows, but maybe they do.
Cassian's pretty emotionally intelligent.
They might. I don't know.
I only mean that for Dad saying this, like, okay, you have this hot woman that's into you. Why would you take your hand away from them when the other woman is not available?
Or if anything, like,
I can't answer that.
Cassian's like already done that, so wouldn't you want Nesta over more anyway?
Oh yeah, he's already done more, so I mean, he's checked that mark box.
Yeah, I don't know why.
No, I'm not asking you to actually.
Yeah.
I'm just joking. But anyway.
But yeah, so the next big thing that happens is we jump right into the High Lord meeting, that drama fest. Let me just ask, like, first of all, like, what was your overall reaction of that whole meeting? I almost said disaster of a meeting, which it kind of was. But the whole High Lords meeting, what was your initial reaction around that?
Yeah, that was funny. Because first of all, they were going to meet at a certain time, and then she said, we need to meet sooner.
Which they did.
Which they met sooner. But then, yeah, all the drama, and then when Tamlin comes walking in.
Burst in.
Yeah.
Actually.
All that, showing his ass.
I suppose he did get some learning from Reese.
So that was all funny. I mean,
It was kind of comical, yeah.
So
it matches the name of our episode, The Real Housewives of Prithian.
Yeah.
That was a good episode.
Yeah. Well then, yeah, so I guess with Tamlin's dramatic entrance, which I guess he must have learned that from Reese, and the fact, what did you think about, like, what kind of, he presented the information, all this information on Highburn, he presented that and offered that of like, did you think I was just doing nothing? So what did you think about that, as well as what he said to Feyre, or just in general?
Well, it's surprising what he said, because at that point, I think they thought he was with Highburn, but after he said that, it was like, okay.
Nobody believed him except Reese, though.
Yeah.
The one person who probably shouldn't.
Yeah.
Right. But there again, I think that was a big point there. He believed him. And then what he said to Farrah, that.
Oh, about how how do you like how she sounds, man?
Yeah.
Degrading her.
Have you ever heard that in real life? I mean, obviously not to that scale, but like, have you ever seen a guy do that where like he tries to degrade a woman by saying just like, yeah, I know this?
Oh, I've heard things about it. It's like, yeah, shouldn't say.
Can you think of something off the top of your head that somebody said in real life?
Not really.
Damn. I just want to know but
I'd have to think hard on that. I've heard stuff.
So that does happen.
Oh yeah.
Did you
That's just me.
Did you when Tamlin handed those papers to them, like, did you trust that he was actually, giving good information?
At that point, as listening, to it, I thought, no, he's setting them up, So I thought he was really setting them up. Then again, he was.
Just so interesting. I mean, because I feel like that's what you were supposed to feel, but neither of us felt that way when we first read it. I think we knew that there was like a double agent coming in.
A little hope for him.
Or no, it's just like even back in the Spring Court, it wasn't like he was trying to placate to Highburn. It was like, it always seemed to me that he was trying to play this double agent game, but he was doing it so fucking poorly.
He was trying to play both. Well, then she come in and fucked it all up. That's what she did. So, but he wasn't expecting that.
No.
But you're right. I think he was playing both sides. He was trying to get the best of Highburn and Reese on the Night Lord.
Well, that's what he said at the end, because he's just like, oh, do you think I would have... He made the deal with Hybern to get her back, but then he made a bum deal, and he was trying to make the best of that bum deal that he made.
Yeah.
But then the thing is, he thought he was fucking smarter than that, and I was just like, you do not have that much of an IQ to actually pull that off.
Yeah, back.
So I was thinking it was from a place of pure ignorance. Not that he actually was doing this, oh, I'm gonna actually side with Hybern now. I never thought that.
I don't think so either. I think you're right. He was playing both sides. And when she came in and he thought everything was going to be okay and back to normal, and shit went down and messed him all up, it's like he wasn't banking on that.
No, and then he had to fucking figure it out on the fly, man.
Right. Then when shit went down, Hybern's like, what's going on? What are you doing? So you're trying to play the game both ways, and you can't have both. So, and it backfired.
That's a good way of putting it. But yeah, despite all their squabbling, it was all for naught because the wall came down. So going back a little bit, that was your overview and what Tamlin said. Yeah. So what were your thoughts on meeting the new High Lords? Because now we have the High Lord of Day, Winter, Dawn, and technically we're meeting Baron
for the first time. Autumn.
Yeah.
Everybody was there. Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, there's Helion of Day, Callius, and Vivian of Winter, and Thesan of Dawn.
Yeah, I thought they were the one when they came in there. Mora got to see her best
more
friend.
Screamed.
Yeah, squealed like a girl.
Yeah, so they hadn't seen them for years probably.
Vivian was a bad bitch too, man. She held up the fort when Callius was under the mountain, and we met another mated bear.
Yeah, well didn't they say this is my high lady? Didn't Reese say that?
Oh
and
yeah.
Goes,
yeah.
When did this happen?
She's like, what? Why am I not high lady?
Yeah.
That is every boyfriend and girlfriend going to somebody else's wedding and just being like, well, when is this gonna happen? Like, when are we gonna get married?
Yeah. So that was kind of funny in some of their meetings with them. Yeah.
Oh, and the Azrael encounter.
Yeah, he got into it with who was it?
Oh my god, he almost beat Eris to death.
Eris, yeah. Which Eris needed that.
He called Morris. He's like, oh, good to know that you always dress like a slut, more.
Yeah.
You've been after 500 years.
And he broke the bet because they all bet before when who
was going to get into it. Yeah.
Broke it.
Yeah, I remember that.
Though he did say a fight started by Autumn, though.
Yeah.
Technically.
That's true.
Yeah.
That technically is
I forgot
what it was.
That.
I thought, if I'm getting my quick synopsis, I actually liked Callius on this reread more than I did anybody else. Callius is that very dried sense of humor guy that's kind of like a yes dear type. Like, he stands his ground, but he also is like, yeah, Callius is, he'll take charge, but then also, like, if Vivian really is just like, dear, okay. He had that very dry humor. And, of course I love Helion. He's the very power bisexual who's like, I'll sleep with anyone and all three of you at once. But he's more than that. He's also like the second oldest, because Baron's the oldest and Helion is the second oldest. So they were both the oldest ones in the war. They were adults during the last war versus everybody else was kids.
Yeah.
Or adolescents, I guess.
Adolescents. Yeah, did you have a favorite High Lord that wasn't Reese or Tamlin? Yeah. Well, Tamlin's not on the list, but
I like the one with the Morris friend, the good friend.
Callius, that's the winner guy.
Yeah, I like him probably.
He's probably you, honestly.
Reese and I like him. And I actually liked her too.
Vivian?
Yeah, she was funny.
I hated when Baron said that one thing where he's just like, wives are brought as a courtesy, not as a... Yeah. Dude, she was running the fucking court when he was gone.
Yeah. She had every right to do that.
But the way the graphic audio ended for that second part, it ended with a wall coming down, and then that was it. I'm like, damn, what happened?
Yeah, it did end it up, yeah.
It ended at kind of a...
It did.
And then you wanted to get back to it, you know?
Yeah. So I guess then, jumping back into that, of the wall coming down, and then all of the shit that happened after that. So what do you think of, like, the aftermath of them finding out that the wall came down?
Well, and I think that was another thing that, they said that was going to happen, and it happened.
All the way back at the beginning of the last book.
And it's like, oh shit. And then, okay, we're going to leave her. What are you guys doing? What are y'all doing? Because this shit's happening. happened, you know.
It isn't a joke. It's not a practical joke.
Right. And this, you guys didn't think this shit was going to happen. It's happened.
Well, they had no idea there was even fucking conflict.
Well, they
until
thought
the summer court got attacked directly.
Yeah.
Even then, they didn't really take it seriously.
They thought it was a joke, you know. But then shit started happening. And hey, what are you gonna do?
They didn't even know Hybern was in the fucking country. Like, they just...
Dumbasses.
Yeah.
You know, but the interesting part about that, though, was setting up Nesta as well. Because that every time that the cauldron started to get used, she'd feel it. And it was like, I like to think of it as very rapid onset, worst period cramps ever.
Well, she had something happening to her, but she didn't know.
You know what I mean?
She didn't know what it was.
Did it not be described like that, though? Like, she
Honestly,
grabbed
it did.
her fucking stomach, and then she'd, like, get on the ground and then be in this absolute pain. It wasn't like she clutched her heart or clutched her head. It was literally her stomach.
She's like wrapping her arms around her stomach and bending over.
Just very onset ovaries getting fucking used.
But she didn't know at that time what was happening,
No.
But she said something, and then nobody listened to her.
Well, yeah.
Well, they kind of did. They looked around, but they're like, oh, I don't know what it could be.
Because they wouldn't have known what it was.
At that point, it was probably on the move, the cauldron.
I have a question. Was the cauldron in... I wonder if they did that from Hybern, or the cauldron was in Prythian at that point. Because I'm thinking, like, it was either in Prythian... Well, because they had to do it in the... At a hole in the wall, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
or at least that's where they had to aim. But it does make it seem like they would have been putting the cauldron directly next to the hole, maybe.
It makes me think, though, like, of a long-distance laser for some reason.
Well, okay, my thought on it is maybe before it could have done it from Hybern, but after Nesta took whatever she took, like, it couldn't do that anymore. So it had to be right next to the wall, which is why they needed the holes.
Yeah, but needed to, like, because they had to transport that thing
Well,
there.
I think that's when I was listening to it, I think that's when it was on the move, that's when she knew. That's when she get that. That's when she get that feeling that that was
interesting.
On the move.
Yeah, because it didn't happen until...
Right.
Dude, Daddy!
That's
clever.
No, because it makes so much sense, because why would it... It wasn't preparing the whole fucking night to hit it. Like,
but it might have powered up to teleport into Prythian.
Maybe. Huh.
Clever.
But under the eye of everybody in Prythian when they even asked... Oh god, that's so odd. It was cloaked, though. So, magic, the cauldron is like the entity of the world. So, like, it can do whatever.
Doesn't make it any better, though.
But yeah, so then, obviously, that's when shit, like, actually gets... The wall is down, it is a completely new world, right? The humans are defenseless. The humans on that part of Prythian, obviously, from the last book, the queens don't give a shit about them, and the queens are rogue, so what to do? So, Elaine, with the very stupid idea, but I guess it worked out for them, but let's go to my fiance's estate and try to bargain for them to let the humans, as many humans as they can, get in. What did you think of meeting Grayson and his wonderful father? And they would let the peasants come in.
I thought, yeah, that's really nice of you, dude. You know. He was kind of a dick.
Gonna let the riffraff in here. They're literally going to die.
Yeah.
Then you'll have no one to rule over.
True.
So yeah, that didn't go very well.
What do you think of the fact that they had? Isn't this crazy? Oh my god. The tree. Jesus Christ.
Ash tree.
They had a grove of ash trees. They had naga hounds that were susceptible to fey smell. How the fuck did that happen? First of all,
I don't know.
Like,
I suppose you can train a dog like that.
I love how Cassian was just like, how did they get fey scent? First of all,
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
That's a good question that was never answered.
But it's funny.
No.
The only way they knew that, well, they didn't have no clue what she was. They were just hearing through the grapevine that she was.
But was it stupid though to like glamour her up and then not glamour Nesta up? That was dumb as shit.
Well, yeah, it's like, okay, all of you are Fae but her.
Yeah, wouldn't
What's going
And
on?
she wouldn't be freaking out?
Yeah.
Wouldn't you have glamoured both of them to like, you know, oh, the whole story was wrong. They didn't get thrown in the cauldron. They're humans still. Like, wouldn't that have been more?
Just one of them.
It's like,
So,
no.
yeah, that thing, them doing that, yeah, that because
They set up that whole glamour scene as something important, and then like it was
didn't work. And then he said what he said, and then the son, yeah, she was her fiance, and that really hurt her.
I think during this whole book, this was the only time we actually felt bad for her. This moment in particular.
Yeah, that hurt her quite bad.
Because the important part of that is she thought the love between them was so strong. And again, it was such a high school level romance, right? Of like textbook prince comes in there, they met at a gala, you know, he's rich and he finds like her in the room that she seems like very much a wallflower, and he picks her out of everybody else, and all of this happening to her, love could not conquer changing species in a weird way.
Well, then she found out what he was really.
Okay.
She found out who he was and what.
He's an asshole.
But it still hurt.
We kind of had a theory that Grayson and Elaine met at the ball that Papa Archeron threw for Feyre's return.
Yeah, in the first month.
Elaine being the dutiful daughter and like going around and meeting all the important sons.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because the timing lines up. Yeah. Is it crazy that Elaine was the first one to lose her virginity?
No, I didn't know that.
Well, no, she wasn't the first. She was the second.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, no. Feyre lost her.
They went backwards. They went backwards in terms of age. The youngest lost it first, and then the oldest lost it last.
Yeah, so Nesta's still a virgin.
Or coming out of the cauldron. What is? Yeah.
Are you saying that she... Sorry, okay, we're gonna say this because we have an explicit. Are you saying she just, like, got closed up?
I don't know.
She is literally a born-again virgin.
Matches with the purity.
Hey, you know what? Hey, dude, that human probably wasn't shit compared That's for sure.
I know, now Elaine has 2 Fae males after her. One of them has even made it to her.
Fuck, that guy, like, that puny guy, that pretty boy, Jesus Christ.
Yeah. Well, yeah, he wouldn't hold candle to any of them, yeah.
Hell yeah. But I get what the point of that being that it was such an innocent love that he just, I want the ring back. I never want to see you again. That was harsh.
Yeah.
Because I feel like we can all relate to some level of first love that didn't work out.
Also, that's fair, stood up for her.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the slap was really satisfying.
Yes.
But isn't it funny that, like, Grayson wants the ring back and it's an iron ring? It's like, is he still delusioned that iron does anything to Fae?
Right. They know all this shit about Ashwood, but they still think that iron protects them. Like, which manual were you reading? Because it still doesn't. So, of course, they begrudgingly accept the few centuries, the Fae centuries that they're going to get and a ward. And so then moving on to that, what did you think about them going up to the Illyrian camp, Devlin getting freaked out by Nesta and claiming that she was a witch?
That was kind of weird, too, because I'm like, he looked at her, took one look at her, and he was like freaked out. I'm like,
he literally said, "What the fuck is that?"
Yeah, he's seen something, or don't know what. He's seen something.
Mm-hmm.
He felt something. Yeah.
Well, he felt the cauldron power. That's what he fucking felt.
Well, there again, I think, yeah, maybe at that point it was getting closer.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the whole point of the Nesta thing is like, in the whole witch thing, was that there is a race of people who gain power more than their bodies can take. Or it's like, let's say, for example, Devlin took like way too much power from another Illyrian or something. I mean, I don't even think the Illyrians can do that. It'd be the same level if he took too much power that he wasn't.
Yeah, but when he first met Farrah, he didn't do that.
Because Feyre's different. She doesn't have this, like, fucking cauldron entity power. Like, Feyre's is from the other High Lords, which is something that they recognize, versus the cauldron they haven't seen in eons.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe they were scared because it was getting close. I don't know. That's what I kind of thought. That power, and like I said, it was going through her. And the closer it got, the more she felt it.
Okay.
I don't know. That's just me, though.
It's kind of open-ended at the moment. We still don't really know what power is, but it scares everybody.
Which is funny. It would scare them guys, yeah.
The ones
big
that,
tough Illyrians.
Yeah, the ones that...
So there was something there. I don't know what it was.
The ones that walk by death every day.
Right.
They're scared of that. So then the last part about the humans that we wanted to talk about was Jurian. After that whole exchange with Elaine and Grayson, Jurian pops in and is like, hey, I was a good guy this whole fucking time and you guys didn't even think. What did you think about him showing that he was actually good?
Well, at first, I wouldn't have trusted him. I can tell you that. At all. But then there, toward the end,
So you didn't believe him right off the bat?
No. Huh?
Interesting. I mean, I feel like that was probably the right way you should have felt that way. But I feel like me and Liesl, maybe more me than Liesl, understood him right off the bat. It made so much sense. Because he woke up resurrected in Hybern. What the fuck was he expected to do? Like, no, I'm gonna fight against you guys when he's surrounded by enemies.
And he's still human.
And then, on top of that, it was... I loved the moment where he was just like, dude, you read minds. Why didn't you fucking look into my mind any of these times that you could have? I don't have any shields. I'm human. And he never did. Nobody did. Yeah. It made so much sense. Well, and also the reason I believed him right off the bat was because Rhys read his mind and read his intention.
Finally, at that time, he did.
He would have seen if something in that moment. So, like, I was like, oh, okay,
Right.
he's good.
Well, I wouldn't have read it to start, no.
With the mind reading?
Well, if I could have done that, I'd been doing it.
Well, that's what they did in that moment.
Finally, yeah.
I love how even they didn't believe the mind reading.
They're like, wait, really? No way.
But no, I believed Jury, and I was like, it made so much sense that I felt bad that I was like, I mean, me and Liesl were even picking that up at the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
When, like, he was, he thanked her for getting back at the incest twins for killing those humans. And the fact that he was so scared for the humans. Whether or not you have, like, your feelings about Jury, and he always seems like he wants to protect the humans more than the Fae.
And that's always been the case, at least from what we've heard, is he was a human general, so his priority was always about saving the humans. Yeah, the next main event, second worst death
R.I.P.
of the book. R.I.P. Gossip Girl. The death of the Suriel. So what did you think of the whole interaction with the Suriel, going out and fighting it and talking with it, and then the whole thing with Ianthe?
Because
that was the serial was, to me, it was always helping her or trying to
Mm-hmm.
help, and it kind of was bummed me out that, it did die, but it was always seemed to help her out.
Mm-hmm.
And that was kind of sad.
Well, because what led up to that was the battle scenes, and then, like, again, we don't want to talk about the battle scenes because they're just battle scenes, that's it. But Elaine helped find it, and so this time was a little bit different because Feyre wasn't going to find it.
It found them. Well, kind of.
Well, yes. So
how did Elaine even know how to find it?
Dude, wasn't that wild that she was just able to figure it out and just, oh, he's here.
Yeah, I thought that was kind of okay. How the hell did you do that?
Exactly. Well, we've been asking ourselves for fucking 3 years now.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, that was kind of weird.
She had to get taught a little bit, but she still got it too quick. Anyway, but yes, then leading up to, she went to go to the middle where it was, and then, but yes, this time it was a little bit different because she didn't set up a trap, it found her.
Mm-hmm. And they were just chatting like old friends.
God, it was, because it was talking, and then the arrow through the throat. Bruh.
Yeah.
The sound of that.
And guess,
the graphic was...
Were you surprised who it was, though? That it was Ianthe?
I wasn't surprised.
You weren't? I was.
Because I figured, she figured that it was all along it was helping her. Fair.
I knew Ianthe would come back in some sort of revenge chat, but, like, this was such a random event for her to come back for.
And the most impactful in this moment.
Yeah, the most one we want her to die. But anyway, before that, yes, going back to Liesl's question about what you thought about what they talked about and the death.
All about what they needed to do. They needed to go to Cauldron.
Well, because, the whole reason for her going to it was to ask about where the main camp was. And so he's the one that told them to give Nest of the Bones and Stones to find it.
Right.
And also giving Amryn the quote-unquote code for the end, which, again, only Amryn knew about.
Yeah, we didn't even know what was said in the book.
That leads me to think Ianthe was Hybern's little bit,
Well, yes.
So
yes.
She was trying to kill that. Stop it.
Hybern's whore, if you will.
So there again, I think that's why she did it. So it wasn't a surprise to me when it was her.
Do you think Hybern then, the reason Ianthe was out there tracking the Suriel, do you think it was because Hybern knew that there was a way to stop the Cauldron in the book?
Interesting.
I don't know. I don't think he knew that. I don't think. Now, maybe he knew the Serial knew that, so that's why it came around to Ianthe killing it.
Or
But
he didn't know what the Suriel knew.
You're right. But after the Serial told them, it was too late then anyway.
Interesting that you guys are saying this because I had a different point of view. I thought this was a personal Ianthe vendetta, having nothing to do with Hybern at all. Because her monologue when she's talking is her talking about, Feyre, why does the Suriel talk to you and not to me? Like, Ianthe wanted to know something, which I don't really know what she was wanting to get from it.
Or what if it was that Hybern did send Ianthe to capture the Suriel because maybe the king wanted to know something. But then when the Suriel wouldn't talk, that's when Ianthe remembered about Tamlin talking about how Feyre captured it and stuff. It's like, oh, maybe Feyre can get it to talk. And then it turned into a personal vendetta.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
Because at one point, nobody could find it.
Except her.
Except her. She could find it. And
that's true.
And then it found them. So, but I don't know. I still think.
Me personally, I don't think Hybern thought that the Suriel, had any, because, the Suriel has its limits of its own knowledge.
Well, I don't think he knew what it knew, but he wasn't sure, so that's why he sent.
Kill it instead.
That's why he sent Ianthe to get some information, and when it wouldn't talk to her, she just killed. But it was too late. Really.
Something Liesl brought up last time that was interesting that I didn't even think about was like they keep saying that there's multiple Suriels. Like we haven't seen them. Like again, they say it's rare, but is it one of those things where they say that and there really is only one? And then me and Mom brought up fact of Rumpelstiltskin as Dark One. We were thinking there's always has to be one, but it might not be the same one.
Or what if it's a case of a phoenix or something where it gets reborn?
Ah.
I mean, they did end up burning the Suriel's body, so
maybe it did get I don't know, man. But like, it seems like there's so many, or not many of them, but there's multiple. Why did this one specific one meet her at every time?
Yeah. Well, it always tried to help. It was trying to help her.
I know.
And it did help them. I mean, but it kind of backfired in a way because when they told them what to do, they found out where the cauldron was, but it found out where they were. So,
what did you think of before you move on to that? What did you think of, or before Liesl moves you on to that? What did you think about Ianthe being killed by the Weaver?
Yeah, that was funny too. I mean,
that bitch got what she fucking deserved.
Oh yeah.
Well, and Liesl and I brought it up in our episode that made so much fucking sense that I wasn't thinking about when I read that. I was like, these dumb fucks, do they not know the Weaver of the Wood? This is this is legend. It's like, okay, you know not to go in the fucking house. And I was thinking to myself, they're from Highburn. They don't know the legend. They don't know that. So they think they're just going into some fucking empty house, and then they found what they found.
But if we think about it, Ianthe is technically a priestess of Prythian, grew up in Prythian, grew up with Tamlin, so is around 500 years old. So how the fuck did she not know?
Again, maybe she thought that it wasn't that, but like also it felt weird. That whole place, there's a death god living in there. There's no way you didn't feel it, but
unless you just
blinded by her want for revenge.
You know, if you don't believe in lore or whatever.
Oh, it's only legend, right?
Yeah, and she
Feyre wouldn't be dumb enough to go in there.
This is why when they say the place is haunted, you don't like try to play it and be like, oh yeah, no, I'm gonna go there in the middle of the night on Friday the 13th. If they say it's haunted, don't fucking go in there.
Right.
Yeah.
Just to prove a point.
Right. I'm staying away.
Yeah. But anyway.
Yeah, so R.I.P. Suriel, my gossip girl.
What a good man. What a good
I love
name.
the Suriel. But yeah, so moving on, jumping forward, we're back in the war camp, and, Feyre has that dream of Elaine wandering off with Grayson, and then they wake up and Elaine is gone. What do you think about Elaine getting stolen in the dead of night?
Well, that was kind of weird too, because I thought he wanted Nest, and they took Elaine. Well,
but then I had to explain to Dad, he didn't take Elaine. King of Highburn had no idea. The Cauldron did that all on its own.
Oh, so okay, so all right, yeah, you're right.
Because the king was surprised when Elaine showed up in front of the cauldron.
Like, fuck, who's this? He knew who it was, but the interesting thing about that whole thing was that you're right. It was foreshadowing when Nesta did the whole bones and stones thing. It was foreshadowing the fact because you open the one door, the other one is open as well. And so the Cauldron saw what Nesta loved most, and Cauldron, like Nesta took from the Cauldron, took the one thing that she cared about. It was a vendetta from the Cauldron itself. And it's so funny that Feyre saw again, there's so much fucking theory and stuff that we blab onto you for hours about, but Feyre was the only one to see the vision of Elaine getting taken, of Grayson kind of appearing out of nowhere, which totally reminded me of the dad from the first book, of when she thought she saw him in the spring court, and it's like, you dumb fuck, he's not here. Like, he did not get here magically. How the hell did she think that Grayson just showed up magically? Or that he would have?
It was funny too that, of course, Elaine would have seen all this, but they never said that she's seen anything because they took
it. Fucking exact. So, do you think that dream was even real? Because what the text is implying is that Feyre saw that Elaine got led off into the night, thinking that it was Grayson, and then whether it was Grayson, I don't really know how the Cauldron kind of zapped her, but maybe if she touched Grayson, maybe that was her touching the Cauldron that transported her. I don't. But do you think that even happened? Because they're implying it did, but I have very serious doubts.
I don't know.
We think Elaine
summoned it.
No, Elaine put that image in Feyre's mind, and she just went with the Cauldron instead.
Like the whole idea of, since she's a seer, she can see things, but she can make other people see things as well.
Yeah, that's possible.
We also think she's like borderline evil, so that's why we're we're on that road. But anyway,
well, that goes back to when I said, it happened at the end. I mean, I think Cauldron wanted to see it end, and the only way at the end was that.
But Elaine
one
being
way.
the chosen one?
Yeah, who would have ever thought?
I Baham.
He would have never
I don't
thought
like
that either.
Cauldron?
No, the king.
That's why he didn't. I mean,
That's
I
why
guess
he
I
didn't
see.
do anything.
I see what you're saying.
Because all the stuff he had, all his power, he never saw it.
But does that more about her though than it does about?
No, I think it's just sheer dumb luck. He wouldn't think.
Really?
He wouldn't think about her. He had Farrah, Nesta, Reese, Cassie, and Azrael, all Mora, all the others to worry about, and the one person you wouldn't think you had to worry about was.
But did she play it that way?
I think the Cauldron planned it.
Interesting, because we took it a different way.
I think Cauldron planned it that way.
We also just hate Elaine, so we're slightly
we have
biased.
a different viewpoint for sure.
Yeah.
Well, I never seen that.
No one did.
But he wouldn't have seen it coming either, because that would have been the last person he would have.
Mm-hmm.
But we're getting ahead.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
answer the question she has now.
Well, just the next question is the next progression of realizing that Elaine is gone and immediately, not even really making much time to plan, just immediately like, okay, we're going to save her. So what did you think about Farrah and Azrael going to rescue her?
Spicy.
Yeah, that was
Ew. Yeah.
interesting. Just interesting to say the least, I guess. Yeah.
The whole Highburn camp scene was cool.
Yeah, because they knew where it was at. Yeah, he wasn't there.
The fact of the extra insult that so at the beginning, she walks in pretending to be Ian, because the only reason it worked out that way was because they didn't know she was dead yet.
Right.
Because
she literally died like a couple hours before Elaine went missing.
Yeah, they had to do it quickly. So that was the reason.
Mm-hmm.
And then Azrael's kind of being the shadow buddy, so he kind of get in undetected, and she was...
Right.
I love you, man. And then Jurian. Okay, even though if you have your problem with Jurian, he is fucking smart as shit.
Mm-hmm.
Came in, dressed like literally as I am, and he knew right off the bat.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's kind of odd that he would know right off the bat she wasn't Ian.
He felt something.
Although, to be fair, he was, you've been lusting after me for weeks. It's like, okay, so let's take that and what we know of Ianthe. She probably has been very physical lusting after him.
So she wasn't doing that. So I think he's just he picks up on things very easily.
That too. I mean, he was a general.
I don't think it has any power or anything related. It's more just like, oh yeah, she's definitely not acting like Ianthe. I also think he knew of Azrael's powers. I think he knew that he could tell maybe the shadows were a little bit darker or something like that, because
he was just like, and be careful, Shadow Singer.
He talked about Azrael so casually that it made sense.
Mm-hmm.
Then of course they get to Elaine and she's all shackled up and they have to carry her out there. Then Briar, the extra human, do you think about them saving her as well?
Well, they wasn't going to save her. But Farrah made a big deal.
Insisted.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So how important is this one human going to be? They saved her.
And she got a name.
That's what we're thinking, dude.
Oh, down the line here somewhere?
It has to be.
Yeah, well, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
What's so important about saving this one human? And her getting a name. If she didn't have a name, I wouldn't have made anything of it. But she did.
Yeah, but she's still alive.
Yeah, the Winter
Living
Court.
in the Winter Court.
That's right.
What did you...
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Lots of what did you think? What were your thoughts on, the actual escape and the fact that they got some help from a certain High Lord?
I know.
That was surprising that Tamlin helped me out. I was really surprised on that.
Mm-hmm.
I suppose Hybern was too. So he kind of made his bed and he had to lie in it then. So yeah, he was.
But he risked his position. He risked everything to save her.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And she didn't know how to that.
I don't think any of us did.
Yeah. Yeah, he was helping them get out of. So yeah.
The Nefel philosophy coming into play.
Mm-hmm. The flying finally came in.
That's my favorite fucking scene of Azrael's. That was such a cool monologue.
And it plays into a big part. Because if she didn't learn how to fly, she didn't take any lessons with Az,
Right.
That wouldn't happen.
She would have died. Also, what are the chances that Azrael decides to be the one to come with her? And he was also the one who taught her to fly.
Right.
Well, I always thought too when Tamlin was trying to save them that when she took off fly, he's like, wait a minute, where the hell did you get your wings at? How did you fly?
Yeah, he never did see her wings before.
So I thought that was kind of weird, but it never said anything about that. So it's like, I would have been thinking to myself, no, wait a minute here. What the hell did you get?
Wait a minute.
Who are you? Well, but he also yeeted out of there too. He transformed and then he fucking booked it off the cliff and he somehow ended up getting out of there.
Yeah. Through the hole that Farrah made in the ward. Lucky.
Yeah.
What'd you think of the whole, we talked about this in our final finale episode, but what do you think about the king doing the age-old villain trick of slowly walk towards his prey? He did that every single fucking time and it led to his demise.
Yeah.
It's as bad as monologuing.
It was like Jason in the movies.
Jason.
Everybody be running, he's steadily just walking, and he'd be like 2 feet behind him. It's like, dude, they're running their ass off, and you're 2 feet behind them walking.
Just assured of his victory.
Yeah. Oh yeah, he was cocky.
And that fucked him.
Oh, like I said, I think he knew what he thought he knew was gonna happen, from certain people, but not the one that happened. So.
Right. So I guess then getting into the finale, so they get back, they have their little sisterly moment, which we have to tell this to Dad. Elaine we got mad at her when they came back because like Azrael's sitting there with fucking hound wounds in his back, and she's just lightly kisses him on the cheek and is like, doesn't even say thank you, and just walks with her. He's like, okay, I'm gonna go with my sisters now, and he like falls on the ground. It's like, bitch, that's your rescuer. Go help him or something. And she just walks away like nothing.
Just like when they found her and she was just like, oh, you came for me. It's like, what? Do you not care about this?
She was so calm about that. Was that not weird? Again, we're just jaded at this point, so like take what
other than I kind of thought when that happened in certain things, maybe in her mind she knew what was gonna happen. Like it's okay, I got this.
Look at you, Daddy. I didn't even think about that.
That's just what I thought about, and I ain't sure, but the way it ended.
You thought she was so calm that she maybe saw Azrael coming for her.
I mean, okay, so that does kind of fit. While we haven't thought of that exactly, we did mention before that we thought that maybe Elaine had other visions, like many other visions, and just didn't share them, which is why like she could see them so quickly, see things happening so quickly. She just didn't share them all.
Well,
but in her mind, okay, this shit's happening like I thought.
Well, because it's interesting about her power, though. She like most of the time when like a seer power happens, like there's this visceral. Some of them have like seizures. Some of them their eyes go white. She doesn't really have like a reaction when she has a vision. It's very subtle. So Liesl's right in the fact that she could be having a bunch of visions that we don't even know about. But again, there's not really a physical. You know what I mean? There's a level of a seer ability where their eyes go white. They start fucking they seize up or something. You know what I'm talking about? Even Alice from Twilight, she would start freaking out or something. And
the whole thing, and maybe it's just because it's still kind of in my mind, but the Macbeth performance that I went to go see, and the 3 witches on the cauldron.
Yeah.
In that specific performance, 3 witches all stepped up and they're just like, and like
cool.
Raspy voices, and it's like, okay, yeah, that's a prophecy right there.
That's good. So I guess like kind of the big intro into the finale was we kind of like learned some things. We learned about Moore's big secret that she does not love Azrael and that she's been leading him on for 500 fucking years. This poor man, bro. She likes women, but she'll sleep with men on occasion, but they're not great.
In her opinion.
Imagine is having the night with Helion, which we made that joke. The fact that that night when they slept together at the High Lord meeting, that he still got his paperwork done. Like it wasn't that good. It wasn't that good if he could get his paperwork done. But yeah, what do you, as a guy, in your perspective? Again, we obviously respect people that are trying to come out, and there's a level of you can understand that. But again, as straight people, we don't understand fully what that means, or can empathize with it because we never had to do that.
Well, it's funny how Sarah wrote that in there.
Well, I mean, to be honest though, like there's a lot of subtle gay relationships in here that aren't like, it's just natural. In this world, being gay is very natural, but because of her family, it's like there's a level of similarity to, in real life. What do you think about her doing this to the boys? Having Cassian be the buffer and lying to Azrael.
I don't know.
Do you think that's not okay?
For Moore to be leading on?
Yeah, it's not right, I don't think. In her mind, I don't know. But yeah, it was funny in that whole scene when, in the graphic, she's talking about, and Farrah's like, okay.
It's a random thing to bring up all of a sudden.
Yeah. Do they know? Like, she thought Az might know, but she wouldn't.
Yeah, she'll bring home a man randomly and he'll be like, oh.
Yeah.
Try and throw him off.
So basically, that's kind of leading them on. I think she still likes men, but nobody knows. I don't think they really know. Maybe they do, I don't know.
But it's also the problem of that even if Moore did try, Azrael would see it as oh my god, I'm finally sleeping with a woman I've been in love with for so long, and she'd be seeing it as like a trial base. She doesn't want to do because nobody wants to sleep with somebody like that.
Well, she had the one person, right, that she fell in love with.
Oh, her human lover.
Andromache.
Andromache. That she was the golden-haired queen's
ancestor.
Ancestor.
Then when she went back, she'd had, 3 kids, she was married. Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
I am curious, do you think that Moore knew that she liked women before she slept with Cassian?
I'd say she had to know that. Yeah, I would.
I mean, didn't she say that? Didn't she say that she knew her whole life wife, and then, like, that's why she made the decision to, like, she did imply that. She said that.
She implied it. She didn't say it directly, but
I would say yes. I mean, and then she was doing that to sleep with men just to
put him off the scent.
I guess. Yeah.
I mean, the whole thing is for cure, but, you know, is there a level of should she really care what he thinks? But again...
Yeah, well, she's not around them anyway. I mean, what would it matter?
Well, but she is their emissary of sorts, so she has to see them.
Yeah, they're diplomat.
Yeah.
So that's an interesting to be continued, but also there's a level of, okay, SJM confirmed that more in Azrael. Like, that was not everybody, I think.
Yeah. Well, it was funny, and some of this stuff was, why did she even come out and say that she thought she was going to die? And that's why she said it, told Farrah this. That's like,
I mean,
you kind of get from Farrah that, why are you telling me this now?
I mean, but if you remember, like, before they went into the camp, Moore had rushed into the tent to see them leaving. And before that, they had the argument where Farrah is like, why don't you tell Az that you don't like him?
Right.
And it's like, oh yeah, well, get out of here. We're not going to talk about this. And then, oh, so you're going and I might not see you. And the last thing we would have said would have been a big fight.
Well, and she said she wanted to stop lying. Or that, like, Farrah called her out in that fight because she said, you've been lying this whole time. Like, because Moore said at the beginning of this monologue, she said, my gift is truth and yet I've been living a lie.
Right.
So she wanted someone to know.
Right.
I think it's kind of both things. I think you're right. I think that they knew going into this final battle that they could die, and so it'd be nice if somebody knew the truth. But also, I also think it was a level of Moore said that if Farrah would return home safely, that she would tell her the truth, which is funny that she didn't have that for Az. I think that's kind of shitty as a woman, as well as it's been 500 years, bro. Like, let this man get out of his misery and move on to be with somebody actually who wants him. But in a selfish way, she also is selfish and wants him to herself, but doesn't want the sexual, like, we can play and we can flirt, but I don't want rest. It's just a very manipulative way of dealing with things.
Well, okay. What if this comes out? What's going to happen then? Is nobody going to be good enough for him? You know?
He probably thinks that.
Oh, for sure he thinks. I'm kind of seeing that with Nesta already, though. Nesta and Cassian, like, Moore hates her.
It's like, really, Moore, you think you can decide who these boys fall in love with?
Yeah, you're really pushing the boundary there.
Well, she can make it hell for him. I mean, if you wanted to, but I don't know. That's looking ahead.
She's like Izzy from Grey's Anatomy. She's like, I want the boys to myself, but I don't really want to be with them. Sorry, we're watching Grey's, so that made sense.
That's another messed up.
So yeah, then the next big event is obviously they go and save the humans and they get as many to Adriana as possible, and then Farrah goes to face the Ouroboros mirror. What did you think of the whole her finally deciding it was worth a risk of going to look, and then subsequently what happens when she looks into it?
Yeah, she was, well, stepping back to the part where they were saving the humans, that was funny too. When Reese was taking them, they were just picking them up and taking them. Imagine that, you're just standing there and somebody grabs you up and takes you somewhere else and drops you off. So that was kind of funny because they were not happy.
Yeah, at first, like, they were asking of like, hey, can we take you away from here, take you safe? And they're like, hell no. It's like, all right, no more asking.
Yeah, we're just going to take you. We're just going to pick you up, take you.
I mean, hey, to save their life in the end, I mean, might as well.
But they didn't know that. You know?
No, they didn't.
Hell, somebody
they thought they were being abducted.
Yeah, somebody just comes and picks you up out of the blue and takes you somewhere. It's like, the hell?
If I had Reese coming out, Jesus Christ, go into his arms right away.
Don't let me down. Don't let me down.
No, I'd get dropped in Adriana, see Crusader, and be like, where's the hot guy at? Where did he go?
No, but on the mirror part, she was pretty reluctant to do that. Because she didn't know, because everybody was saying
the whole book.
Yeah.
Don't look into it. Kings have looked into it and have been
lost their minds and did all this other. I think she was reluctant to do that. Yeah.
The image of it's a very SJM, and Liesl knows this now, but SJM is the queen at putting in a really good lesson in a book, and honestly in multis. So the whole idea of looking into the Ouroboros mirror is the fact of you seeing your inner self fully, all the bad, all the good, and like honestly more the stuff that you never want to dig up.
Your literal deepest self.
And her deepest self is this really grotesque monster with scales and claws lights, feathers, whatever the fuck, like everything on in a hodgepodge. And that people who look into that aren't able to accept, and they can't accept their true self and accept all the bad and all the good.
Mm-hmm.
She was able to. What did you think of that metaphor of people facing their inner self and actually loving themselves? Because that's something that I think in society is that a lot of people probably even until the end of their life don't do.
Well, she'd already been trying to find herself for years. I mean, kind of. So this was just a help to her.
Honestly, I think this was, and I told this to Liesl, I think this was like the end of that. This was her finally doing it.
Okay, this was it. Well, and it's funny, I shouldn't know. In Harry Potter, when they had the mirror, he'd go down and look at the mirror, what you see.
I love how he said, I shouldn't know this.
But Harry kept going down there and looking, and all he seen was parents, so they got rid of it.
Because he'd be stuck and he'd be staring at it.
Right. That's where you would go every day. So I shouldn't know that.
Dude, you're literally married to a Harry Potter fanatic. If you didn't know that,
And literally, Mary brought that up.
Yeah, she
when
did.
recorded.
She did.
Oh, jeez.
And my mom was thinking the same thing, too. And then we brought it up in our episode.
We all brought it up.
So, I mean, that in a way, but I think that you're right, that might have kind of just finished her, okay, this is it. Yeah.
It was her full transformation, I think.
Yeah.
But do you agree that there's a level of people that in society, even now, I'm gonna call you guys out in your guys' generation of never forgiving your inner self. Whether or not what you agree with our generation, there's a level of us actually trying to work through our shit and make us into better individuals versus a lot of your guys' generation just, this is how I am and that's all I am and going to be.
Yeah,
versus actually facing yourself and realizing that all these things that happened to you weren't actually you, but were...
I think you're drummed into forget about it, move on. Don't worry about it. Don't bring it up.
But what does that do?
Oh, it depends. It could eat you up inside if you let. That's just me. I don't know.
I suppose that's different than from what we have heard, though, of, either taking it on and, like, learning to face it kind of like our generation does. But on the other side, not moving on from it, but not wanting to do anything about it. Like, that's another thing we've heard a lot. So it's a fresh perspective here.
Well, it's like you lose somebody that's close to you or something like that, real close. It could get you, down for a long time, or you could just go on.
But I guess wouldn't you rather talk about it so that in the moment and so that you could move on from it rather than keep it in and then let it eat you on the inside?
That's when you talk about the good thing, about whoever it was or whatever it was. So that's kind of our way of moving on,
I agree.
But still, I think you don't get about it.
Or I guess the second part of this, without getting on the soapbox for too long, is a level of understanding that maybe some of the things that you think are monstrous about yourself aren't actually you being a monster.
Oh, yeah.
There's going to be somebody that actually, I don't know, sees those qualities and doesn't that.
Well, on the other hand, there's another thing, something happens to you, oh, woe is me, this and that. But it ain't nothing compared to the next person you see that, don't have a leg or don't have an arm or this or that. Okay, I ain't got it so bad. You know what I mean?
That's true. You don't know what someone else is going through.
Right. They have it a lot worse than I. But then you don't, a lot of people our age force put that behind and you don't show it. You put on a front.
Which I guess is what I'm saying is a level of don't get caught up in the comparing. Let yourself have the moment of, there are probably hundreds of thousands of people out there that have it worse than me, but but am I not allowed to feel this way? Like, just because somebody else is going through a hard time, I can't complain about this one thing?
Well, I guess, but it's minuscule to other things happening.
I think you guys are also caught up in the caring that you never let yourself actually think that your shit was that bad because you're caught up in the caring. Anyway, moving on.
That's my soapbox.
I can see where Tabby gets her soapbox from. Runs in the family.
So then, of course, there's the start to the final battle. She gets the Ouroboros, the Bone Carver gets released, the monster, first of all, Reese's monologue to them, which was, and then he did such a good job.
Oh, his big speech. Yeah, the big ghost speech, yeah.
I would have waited 1,000 years for you.
Yeah.
That was cute.
Well, he waited to the end for her. Yeah.
What?
He was by her side to the end.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, of course she was the last. Oh, what'd you think about the fact that he's like, hey, we can go in the caravan for 10 minutes?
Yeah. Yeah, I thought that was funny.
It'd be worse than the tent, because everybody's preparing themselves, getting their gear on, and then
he's like, I think I can move around in there or something like that. I can't remember what he said, but yeah, I was like, well, I think we got enough room. Something.
Jesus. It was a good comical moment before the shit that actually happened.
Right.
But he always does that.
He does.
Yeah. Well,
he turns it comical.
That's his character, the way of,
And that motherfucker knew he was gonna sacrifice himself, knowing that, and said all those things.
Oh, yeah.
Bitch.
But she didn't know that.
No!
Because if she knew that, nothing would have happened, probably. It wouldn't have happened the way it happened, that's for sure.
Yeah, she wouldn't have let him do that.
Right.
But what did you think then about the monsters coming out of the woodwork?
Well, I thought that was pretty cool, too. I don't think he's seen that coming.
Did you think the Weaver was gonna show up? That was a surprise.
Yeah, that was a surprise to me, yeah. Because I'm like, when they talked, I was like, what? What the hell is she doing now?
It's like, oh...
I thought she was blind, right?
Yeah.
Didn't they say that she was blind or something?
Yes.
Yeah.
So how the hell was she doing anything?
Dude, she tells by scent, bro.
Scent mainly. And of course she has her other senses.
Yeah.
You don't need sight to fuck that day up.
Yeah. So that was kind of weird that you seen or you heard here. Yeah.
Here's to family reunion.
Yeah, it's like, it was kind of.
So yeah, because they have the whole back and forth with the magic, and then the monsters get released, and they're surprised, and then the Illyrian thing happens where the cauldron gets shot at the, and Nesta saves Cassian. All those other people died, and he was the only one that got saved.
Yeah.
God, that's gonna hurt his soul very bad. But that's literally the captain leaving the ship right when it's gonna hit the fan. But he didn't know
that.
No, he didn't know.
Well, and it was funny too. The cauldron took Farrah in and wouldn't let her use her power.
Oh, Daddy, we're not there.
No, yeah.
No, we're not there.
We'll get
We're
there
talking
in a
about
moment.
before the battle when Nesta felt they were about to go down, and then Nesta felt them gonna get shot, and then she yelled for Cassian to get out of the sky.
Right. She was like puking her guts up, and then they're like, "Oh my god, what's wrong with her?" And then she doesn't answer them. She just starts screaming Cassian, using his name.
Right.
And then the Ex Machina.
Well, she knew he would come if she yelled his name.
I was like one of the first times that he actually heard her say his name instead of that one or him or.
And her voice to be able to reach him over the battlefield.
Yeah.
Dude, the voice, Natalie, the voice actor for Nesta, that was good, wasn't it? Yeah. What did you think about then the first horn that gets heard is Court, Baron, Tamlin, and the humans coming in from the side. What do you think about that? Did you expect them to come? Was that a surprise?
No, I don't think that was a surprise. I don't think. No, not me.
Okay. Well, it kind of makes sense that they come in at some point, but of course, Baron would come in at the last possible moment.
And of course he'd have to be dragged.
Yeah, Tamlin dragged him.
Yeah. But I think they seen the bigger picture of what was going on and what was going to happen. Tamlin pretty much, he'd messed up from...
He got some Spring Court people, though, and they went.
Before, but
somehow.
Most of his stuff was messed up anyway.
I wonder if, Tamlin literally said okay, I get it, you hate me, but Feyre needs your help.
Or he's just like, dude, if you think that this won't come on your doorstep in the minute, let's all fight together. Jesus.
Yeah, well, I think, they wouldn't have had a choice. Shit was going to happen whether they were going to be there or not. So they didn't have much choice.
And then, what did you think about then the very Ex Machina of this is the bigger surprise. The second horn, the other hybrid host is coming, and then they're going to get overwhelmed. And then Miriam, Draken, Vasa, the humans, and Papa Archeron at the head of everybody. 3 ships.
Now that surprised me. Yeah, that all surprised, especially with the old man. I'm like, what in the hell? All this whole time, what the hell's he been?
Daddy was asking the whole book. He's like, "Where's the dad at?" And I was just, I was waiting for and I was like, "Oh, because he's asking about him."
Yeah, and the whole thing, you didn't. Oh, he's off, trading, doing trades and stuff
trading for warriors, apparently.
So yeah, that was a surprise there.
The fact that Daddy Archeron, the person that I hate saying him Daddy, that Papa Archeron made a deal with the Keeper of the Lake, a literal death god, for Vasa's. How the fuck did he manage that?
What
is
the
my
hell?
question.
Yeah, that was all surprising there. Yeah.
Because Draken explains that they were already on their way and they just met up along the way, and then Lucian showed them the way of where they should go and whatnot. And that surprised everybody. Yeah, no, and it definitely made me tear up though, because whether or not I told Liesl this in our first read, and I also just the idea of Papa Archeron is interesting, and Sarah wrote an interesting narrative. Because this fuck didn't do any for their whole life and for their whole time in poverty. So there's this level of hatred that they have for him that is valid. Then in the last moment when they really, really life or death needed him, he comes in with a host that saved them all. And on top of everything, everybody even afterwards, even after this whole fight scene, scene. That, oh my god, he was best father. Like Bassa said, he was such a father figure to me. And it's like, okay, first of all, I knew right off the bat when people were saying stuff like that, you don't say that to those. You don't say that to the 3 daughters who felt neglected their whole life.
Yeah, that they had to go out and hunt, fight.
Well, one.
Yeah, the others were waiting, but yeah. And he was never around. So to me, what happened to him wasn't big, really.
Oh, wait, so you...
That didn't bother me.
Wow, his death... Okay, well, okay,
yeah,
again...
Getting forward, but
yeah, so you agree with me, right, Liesl? But there's a level of... It's an interesting nuance of hatred and of love for that.
Yeah, and I mean, we'll get into that in a minute. Like, just overall, I agree with you because you don't... But at the same time, like Vasa, she doesn't know what Papa Archeron put them through. So there's that aspect too. But it's just like, yeah, just keep going on about that, sure. That's a great idea.
Once you realize how they react to something, you probably should stop.
Yeah.
Well, and she's saying that, and they're thinking, he should have been with us.
Yeah.
Taking care of us when he's out supposedly supposed to be working, but he's taking care of somebody else.
Mm-hmm. Being a father figure to someone else.
Right.
Or the fact that those people on that whole journey got to know him more than they ever did.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Is a level of fucked upness that they need to go through. But anyway, I will at least have the floor for the rest of it.
But yeah, so a lot happened in that first part. But so now we get, Amren and Feyre make it to the cauldron. Feyre grips onto the cauldron and sees through the cauldron's eyes, if we can so say it that way. It was very weird. And so, I mean, it was clever on Sarah's part on how she got to see, like you said, Tabby, in the episode. It was a way for it was a way for Sarah to then show what was happening on the rest of the battlefield. But yeah, so going through the battlefield, we make it to where Nesta and Cassian are waiting and trying to draw the cauldron, which succeed. What did you think of that whole situation of Nesta and Cassian versus the king, Papa Archeron showing up, some neck snapping, because apparently the king's into that. So what were your thoughts on that situation?
Well,
It was a lot.
It was a lot, but then he seen that what love they had for the old man, so he brought him in, off boat.
That was a big assumption, though. Like
It was.
Well, yeah, it was, but I think he seen it at that time.
he was a meat shield because he knew as soon as he'd winnow over there that Nesta would hit him with all she had.
Well, then Cass trying to fight King or whatever, they knew that was going to happen.
How did this motherfucker have like a better fight? I know he's like eons older than the rest of them, but like, how the hell is he better than the best fighter in the world?
Well, he had magic, more magic, I guess.
I don't know, man. Like,
I suppose they did exhaust their magic before.
they did.
But I guess the king was snapping old poppies. I mean,
He died so quick though. Like I thought he would at least, maybe it would have been an epic, the king's coming for Nesta, and then he tried to hit him with a root or something, and and then he'd come around and then snap his neck. He literally had like a line, and then he said like, "Don't touch my daughter," and it was like, fuck.
And then Amren, I mean, she was also lying fair too about, but I think
we didn't ask you about that yet.
Well, I thought talking about Amren and the cauldron.
She talked out
of her touching the cauldron.
She was giving you the intro.
Yeah,
she's asking you just about Nesta and Cassian.
We'll go back to Amren in just a minute, but
so Cassian, I thought that's where she really turned. I think she liked
their whole scene. They kissed.
Yeah.
And of course, I mean, we talked about this before. The fact that Nesta made Cassian come up to her, even though his wings were broken, and he was like,
it's like, okay, you couldn't go to him,
Exactly.
What do you think about what he said to her, though? He said some very romantic things. He was saying that
in the next life,
we'll have that time, because they fucked up. This whole book, they've been tiptoeing around each other, and they really haven't said what they felt, even though they kind of both know.
But I think them two together are pretty good. And it's going to take a strong-willed man for her.
2 type A's.
Yeah, no, she cannot have a docile guy.
So, that part. Yeah.
Very opposite of Amren. Even though Amren and her are foils of each other, like, very different.
But I think the king at that point he had too many things going on there that he was doing.
He was getting emotional. I mean, that was like what the whole beginning of that was, where like, when Nesta made that really good quote that I like, that Liesl knows like, of, we insulted him, me and my sister. It's like, it became personal all of a sudden.
Right.
Because Feyre and Nesta and them were doing shit. And
it really pissed him off,
So he got cocky and emotional at the end.
And that, I mean, of course, and the slow walking, but that. But again, he was doing the slow walking, and then he forgot that there are 3 sisters. I mean, he may not have known that Feyre existed in the cauldron's eyes, watching the whole situation, but I don't think anyone, at least for us, like, we were not expecting Elaine to come out of nowhere and stab Truth Teller into the king's neck. What did you think about Elaine technically being the one to start the killing of the king?
Because Nesta finished it, but finished it.
Well, I didn't. that was a surprise to me. But
Oh, yeah.
like I said before, the one that got him was the one that he didn't expect.
Mhm.
And he had a lot of things going on there at that time. And I think he was trying to, be big and the one that got him, he didn't think would get him.
Well, because she exhausted all her magic and then she went over Cassian to die with him, and so he thought that he had it.
Well, I thought that was some of the cauldron coming out in her too, though. That's what I thought.
What,
as well.
Elaine?
Yeah.
You think the cauldron... Because how the fuck did she get over there? She winnowed over there somehow.
Well, I think that was all cauldron. I think she has more cauldron in her than what everybody thought. And I think that's why she stuck, So, the least expect was her, and he didn't realize that.
I want that Elaine more than the chick who likes flowers.
But of all the king's magic and all that stuff he had, and like I said, that was a surprise.
He didn't sense her.
He didn't sense her at
Which
all.
kind of feels like when she appeared in front of him in the camp, he didn't sense she was there at all. He didn't sense she was coming. So it's like, okay, well, whether that's a cauldron or her or whatever, how does she keep doing that? We've seen no powers from her other than seer. So it's like,
I think that's cauldron in her.
Okay, I see.
Interesting.
Now we can go back to him.
Yes. So, but first I want to say, so obviously it's a battlefield, there's lots of death, but what did you think of the bone carver and how that in that first flash of light that decimated everything, the bone carver just died?
What was the second one?
In one of the flashes of light from the cauldron that wiped out people, the cauldron just stood there and smiled. What did you think of that death?
Now, is he dead? That's another...
I love how you and Mom thought the same thing. I think me and Liesl both were like, no, that fucking thing's dead. There's no way.
I don't know if he is or not.
It literally he just got a clip. Like, there wasn't even ash. Well, no, there was ash.
Little dust particles.
But I don't know.
I think the bone carver is dead because they said that they can choose when they die. And the reason he smiled at Feyre was because he knew he was dying for someone who was worth the cost of dying for.
Well, maybe he is, but I just somehow, in some things like that, I don't know.
You're right.
I don't know.
We don't know that.
We don't know.
Because they don't even know where they go to after death.
Well,
I mean, that was like the whole Carver's thing.
He was asking about it. He was like, when you died, how was it? Or what did you see?
He decided he wanted to find out for himself, apparently.
Yeah.
And then another monster, also a death god, again, also got her neck snapped. The Weaver, Miss Striga. Right. What about that? Like, her neck got snapped and then her body got thrown to the Naga house.
She got eaten.
I would say she's been done.
Okay, so the bone carver's not dead, but the Weaver, she's dead.
She got eaten, so she has to be dead, right?
That's what I would say.
Was she, because of the whole they choose to die thing, did she choose to die because her brother died?
Yeah, maybe.
Because you heard her scream.
Yeah, you might be right. I just got a funny feeling that one of them's going to, not her, but he's going to come back.
Bone carver?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Maybe he comes back.
They may have to make another place for him and Valaris,
He comes back of like, oh yeah, I died. It was interesting. It was pretty dark. I didn't see anything.
He can talk to Bryaxis. He can keep him company.
He can be roommates with Bryaxis.
My poor priestesses, bro.
I know. Honestly. I wonder what each of them would see. But moving on. And then I would, like I've said before, I would consider her in this sense. We've got Amren. What did you think of Amren's whole revealing of her true self and, her goodbye to Feyre and to Varian specifically?
That
like, what did you think of that?
That motherfucker trouted all of that chaos to get to his woman. He deserves her hella. He got
and it made her hesitate. I think if he hadn't shown up, maybe she wouldn't have hesitated so long.
Oh, true. I see that.
Yeah. Well, that was weird too. That maybe it wasn't a lie that she wasn't telling Feyre the true thing, because I think she knew what she had to do. But if she would have told Feyre, it might not happen.
Yeah.
The
weird thing about that whole thing when I read it the first time was so fucking confusing, because Amren is not turning on. Why does Feyre think that this is some big old betrayal? Like, I think that was like Sarah was trying to trick the reader into thinking that's what it was, but like I didn't think that.
Which, okay, Sarah succeeded with me on that, because the moment that Amren like closed the book and threw it away, it was just like, wait, what's happening here? Like, I don't think Amren would be the one to betray, but clearly she hid something.
Yeah.
Well, and then I got to thinking too, okay, if Feyre would have unleashed all her power, they would have been both, Amren, all the stuff she was going to do, and then Feyre Cauldron was holding on to her, right? Basically. And she couldn't do anything.
What are you saying, Dad?
That if Feyre Amren wouldn't have lied to her, and she wouldn't have put her hand on the cauldron, would Feyre have done something else? She would
have still needed, that was the trick. Amren told her to put her hand on it because she needed to be the conduit to help Amren get the spell done. Because Amren had to be done for the spell to actually, so Amren couldn't didn't say the
maybe
spell.
she used her power as well. Amber's power and Cauldron and Fair.
I mean, because if you remember in the end of the second book, Feyre tried to nullify the cauldron. She just couldn't hold on long enough because it would kill her. So basically, she was trying that again now, but she was saying the different spell, and then Amren jumping in meant that Amren was ready to receive the spell. But like you're saying, Feyre did need to use her power to say the spell.
And the reason they were trying to get all the girls in the first place was so that because Amren thought Feyre couldn't do it on her own, but because she faced the Ouroboros, Feyre could do it on her own, because the whole sense of like cauldron thing, and this is me and my interpretation, is that the reason she couldn't hold on long enough is that cauldron makes you lose yourself. And so the fact that Feyre is so grounded in the fact herself from the Ouroboros mirror, that's why she could hold on for so long to do it. Because then she immediately got released when the spell got released. But yes, the Surreal showed Amren her release on her being, her magic. And she had like that big monologue of, you know, I mean, she kind of did that before when she originally said who she was, but she was saying about how she wasn't meant to feel, and that, you know, maybe she could have with Varian, and that she don't run away from me because I won't remember you. And it was sad because the lead up of the monsters dying, and then all of a sudden, but this is one of our inner circle. This is a big hit. She got released like a fucking bird, and she is a death angel, Daddy. She is a literal death angel. She has like fiery wings, and she had a fiery halo. That's what SJM describes her as. That's her species.
So she's not a vampire.
No, definitely not.
Then she basically went into the battlefield and killed everyone.
She wiped out the whole thing.
Anyone that ran.
Any hybrid. I was surprised that she petered out at the end. It's like, wait, did she just fucking die? I thought she was going to be forever in that form, and then like she'd go off in the sunset and then never see her. Like, I didn't think she was just gonna die. But the implication is that she used up all her magic killer, and that's why she died. What did you think of that?
Yeah. What?
Nothing? You got nothing for that?
I think there at the end when she did what she did, she knew. I think she knew that Farrah couldn't do it on her own, but she couldn't do it on her own either. She needed both their powers together, and both their powers together wiped out everything. You know.
But in doing so, doomed the fucking planet.
Destroyed the cauldron.
Well, yeah.
And so then, in order to put the cauldron back together, Feyre was like, okay, I've got to do this. And then all of a sudden, Rhys was there, and the fucking bastard knew he was gonna die, and told her that he loved her, and then he told her he loved her again, but in a goodbye sense. And this fucking bastard was dead. But they saved the world by fixing the cauldron. So what did you think of that?
Oh, I was pissed. I thought, are you serious? And then I got to thinking, no, this.
Did you want to stop after you said you heard Rhys is dead?
Yeah, I was pissed because I was right out here listening to it, and I just pulled in the drive, and I'm like, are you serious?
And then he came inside and then yelled at me.
So I didn't figure it out till the next day. I was pissed.
He's like, is he fucking dead? Is he really dead? I'm not gonna say anything.
Well, you could have just said the book says he's dead.
Do you know what page that was on? Because you don't know because of the graphic, but that was on page 666.
Really?
Yeah.
It
was.
Now that's wild. I didn't know that. How did she manage that? That's
Fuck, I have no idea, dude.
That's wild.
She changed the font size just for that one page.
That's wild. I didn't know that.
Yep. I'll show it to you when we get done with this.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, so Rhys was dead, and then Feyre turns around and is like, wait a minute, I can't feel the mating bond. What?
It was the revelation of that was hard, because it was like, we did, and then, oh my god.
Yeah, and honestly, reading it and then listening to the graphic audio,
oh god,
the screams tore my heart.
Yeah. She was awesome, wasn't she?
Did a good job.
Yeah.
That's got to be hard to do, because, how do I put that? When you're getting scared, real time, how can you do it, just out of the blue?
I mean, that's
that was freaking real. That was a blood-curdling scream.
I mean, that's acting, Daddy. Like,
I know.
Yeah.
I mean,
Didn't, when we talked to Melody, she said in the interview that it was a difficult day of recording for them.
Oh, yeah, it was literally that day was just...
Yeah, and her voice was shot afterwards.
That's interesting how they can do that, yeah.
You gotta mentally prepare for that.
Yeah. Well, what did you think of, obviously Feyre's grieving and everyone starting to convene. What did you think of the Surreal's wonderful words coming back for the freaking having the third meaning of stay with the High Lord?
Yeah, I thought that was pretty. But because it always, how you want to save their ass, seemed like they told them what to do, or told them what to look for, or told them this, told them that.
Each time was different.
Yeah.
And each time was different for a different occasion. The first time, he actually did mean Tamlin, and he was talking about curse. The second time he said it was about baiting bomb. Third time, he actually said, no, wait, because during that death scene, he said, no, it hasn't happened yet. Stay with him after death, which they foreshadowed in the fucking first book. It was epic.
Yeah. So what did you think of them, like, finally being able to bring Rhys back by doing the same thing they did to save Feyre in the first place?
Yeah, when I started hearing that, I'm like, oh, okay. So they're gonna, and what? Who was the last one? Tamlin, yeah.
Did you expect Tamlin to help?
I don't know. I guess it didn't surprise me because he helped him before. He helped him. So, yeah, that, I think him in a way, that went back to when Rhys and Tamlin were younger and their parents died and this and that, who killed who. And I think it went back to that, and he was gonna save it. I think that's what I thought anyway. That's what I thought.
Interesting.
But the only reason this worked was because, and I was trying to explain that in our episode, because no one would have thought to do this to any other High Lord, because the thing is, they need every High Lord essence. The only reason this worked is because she's a High Lady. There were two rulers. So I'm just saying, if Tamlin died, there's no fucking saving him, because he doesn't have another lady ruler that is ruling with him. The only reason this worked because of that.
Yeah, it was something different.
Because Feyre was able to bring the kernel of magic forward and use it.
I'll admit, when Tabby first started explaining that, I thought she meant, like, it only worked because Feyre had all of the High Lord's powers inside her. Which I think also could still be a potential, although her being a High Lady certainly helps. But, like, so I guess in that sense, I do wonder if, say, Tamlin did die, if because she had Tamlin's power, a bit of Tamlin's power, if she would be able to do that.
She could, like, give his kernel back.
But then in that case, would she lose it? But that's all theoretical stuff.
Though I will say, some people do you think that he got anything? Because the first thing he said is like, hey, I didn't get anything. I doubt
like if Rhys got any of their powers.
Oh, no.
Because he gave him a kernel of their magic. How the hell do you think he didn't get anything?
Yeah, but he had everything probably they had, didn't he? I mean, he would have had...
No, he only has his magic. He doesn't have, like, all the fire, water magic.
Yeah. I don't know. But, like, what he said after that. That was the first... Is that the first thing he said after that? And then the second thing was just somebody want to get...
Amryn.
Yeah.
out of the cauldron.
Yeah.
They're like...
No, very... my love.
And then they pulled her ass out of there, you know.
Like a...
She looked like a wet cat.
Like, yeah, that was like the second thing I think he said or something like that. And
well, the first thing he said was like, if I'm like still here, then something went really right or very, very wrong.
Yeah.
I thought it was wholesome though, because do you think, because again, I'm gonna ask this because, well, in the fandom, it's a pretty universal thing. A lot of people think Amber should have stayed. That in a story arc sense, it would have made more sense that she died instead of it being this very perfect, happy ending, everybody we like is alive. Well, except the dad.
She's part of the inner circle. I mean, I wouldn't have liked to see her gone, no, because she was part of that inner circle.
She's also too much of an interesting character to just, like, fucking die.
She has too much information.
Nobody knows what you're going to get with her, so that's the scary part.
The important part about that, though, for you to remember, is the Book of Breathings is gone. Feyre threw it in the fucking... it's gone.
Yeah. She's just like, throw the book at it. Maybe it'll work.
Again, she was so mad in her... Yeah, I get it. It's like, no, that fucking book's gone. So, that's not great.
Yeah. So now it's literally just... I mean, Amryn already had a bunch of knowledge, but Amryn also read the book front to back. So it's like, if anything, she's the only one who knows what was in the book.
Let's hope she's got that photographic memory.
Well, and I think she knows a lot. She never told them either.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Definitely. Yeah. But yeah, personally, I'm glad that they're both alive. Again, obviously.
For sure.
But yeah, so that kind of was like the end of the war, surprisingly. So I guess we go into aftermath of the battle. You know, sorry, my brain just stopped for a minute.
It's good. There's a lot of aftermath, so.
There is a lot of aftermath. So we see Lucien again. Lucien runs up to Elaine, and they actually kind of have some kind of civil conversation.
I think that's the first time she said more than a sentence to him.
Right.
Well, I was really surprised. I was like, good. So he's not. So we're good.
He would have had a death scene. Like if he was going to die, he wouldn't have just been like, oh, he's dead.
Yeah, because I didn't want to see him. Because all the stuff he did behind the scenes, nobody knew what he was doing. They just thought, well, he just went off.
He's been there since like 1, so he's not just going to die behind scenes.
Right. So I was happy with that. So now him and Elaine going forward.
Did you that had hope at the end, or
I'd like to see it does. Yeah, it does.
She asked him to come to Valaris, though begrudgingly.
She's like, I probably should.
He don't have nowhere else to go. He might as well go there.
It's an interesting question. Where does he go?
I mean, he has a lot of connections.
True.
And then the next thing, probably, that we just want to mention is Feyre finally gets to meet Miriam, the female that she's heard so much about.
Yeah, there's so much lore.
They're just chilling out, hanging out in the Rhys's tent.
Are good Spaniards. We figured out what their accents were in the graphic. They're Spaniards.
Spanish accents. accents, at least.
Yeah, specifically a Spain accent.
What did you think of kind of interacting with Miriam and Draken and hearing about how they're like, well, why didn't you like come contact with us sooner? And it's like they couldn't, and the whole thing, the resolution of the cauldron. What did you think of?
Right. Well,
they took the cauldron. They're taking it, baby.
Yeah.
Because the place is so protected that even Rhysand couldn't get through.
Right. And it's like, well, what are we gonna do?
Give it to them, I guess.
Yeah.
On this reread, I got so mad at Miriam. I love her to death, but also I was like, I thought it was so dumb that they were fighting Jurian in that last battle when they could have been fighting legit anybody else.
I know, and Jurian was just trying to apologize.
Also, Miriam and Draken were taking on Jurian, so Jurian was trying to fight off both of them. He's kind of badass, I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, and I can just imagine the whole time he's just like, I'm just trying to apologize.
And Rhys told Draken that, but he didn't fucking listen.
No.
But anyway, sorry, that's just my grudge.
And then I guess we kind of started mentioning it before, but Vasa approaching Feyre to talk about maybe breaking her curse and talking about how wonderful Papa Archeron was.
It's such an epic way. Can you break my curse, Feyre, curse breaker? It's just like, okay, bitch. Calm down a little bit. Like, just ask me for help.
Let me think that for a minute or so.
But I told Liesl, I thought the funny thing about Vasa, or just the funny thing about Feyre, is like, she broke one curse. That's because she was a curse that was she was participating in. She's not a curse breaker who breaks random curses.
Yeah, this was about you or her. Yeah.
Right, and honestly, that curse with them, I suppose with Amarantha it was technically a curse, but honestly it was just a really bad bargain, spell, whatever you want to call it. Versus the one with Vasa is a full-on curse from a death god, we're assuming.
I appreciate, though, how Feyre's like, I'll try, but I can't promise anything.
Right, yeah.
So I guess we did mention how Vasa thought Papa Archeron was so great.
Because they see them at the meeting, because Feyre is the one that set the meeting for everybody to meet. They're busted up estate.
Right.
Half of it left. Luckily, there's a room big enough for most people. It's all the Fae, the remainders of the Hybern army, at least, some of the higher-ups there, the humans. I'm surprised the humans went. So what did you think of that meeting? I mean, we didn't get too many details on it, but...
It was like...
That was interesting.
It was like everybody telling their story, and then, that was a
happened?
Political person, they didn't get shit done. There was no treaty that came out of it, there was no, agreement.
Right.
It was literally just in face only.
It's literally like Feyre opened it up of I am Feyre Archeron, and I was human, I am Fae, I would like to renegotiate terms of the treaty. It's like, okay, but what treaty, though?
Because the treaty isn't no more, because the cauldron is, the wall is no more. But that opens up interesting dynamic of now there's these geopolitics at play where, these humans, it's so easy to get over there, everybody's gonna vie for power to try to take land again, and now there's this nature of, future of, is peace really gonna last? With the wall now down fully?
You know how that happens, because, the wall's down. We got, 100 acres on this side, 100 acres on that. That's mine.
Right.
Especially with humans that don't have any defense.
Right.
Either the humans are gonna have to get some sort of magical defenses, or, honestly, which I think is more likely going to happen, they gotta intermingle. But just not be slaves.
Right.
Let's not revert back to the...
But
I mean, intermingling, that's just, have a feeling that's gonna go poorly.
Yes, very much
What's
so.
going to happen with him opening up Valaris for everybody else? The people of Valaris kind of been set in their ways and been nice. You're going to bring other people in.
You mean here?
Yeah.
Daenerys.
But
I don't know how... If
it's almost like they have a temporary, can only come for a weekend.
Right.
You're not staying.
No. They can't live there, but they can visit.
But the people, because when, Hybrid people hit Valaris, they didn't know what to do.
Give another Harry Potter reference, it's kind of like Hogsmeade. So they go to visit there.
They need parental signatures to visit.
Yeah.
Another Harry Potter reference. R.I.P. Maggie Smith, by the way.
Yeah.
Another Potter death.
And then I guess kind of the last main thing from the aftermath is they're back in Valaris, and Rhys is still brooding on the roof like he does, and Feyre in her red lacy things tries to cheer him up.
That's the lingerie.
Yeah, so what do you think of their conversation up there?
Oh, I thought that was pretty good.
And the new bargain they made. Do you remember what it was? No. Do you want to say it, Liesl?
You can go ahead.
Okay. Till death do us part, in the literal of the senses. They made a bargain that if one of them dies, the other one dies. But they'll die together.
A bargain, a promise that if they leave the world, it will be together.
So that one of them doesn't have to do what the other one did with Rhys under the mountain and then with Feyre here. Which, dude,
it's hopefully having Reese stop self-sacrificing.
So that honestly, it is kind of a check on him to not self-sacrifice. If he does, now it's magic. Now it's bound. If he dies, she dies too.
So
he'll have the weight on his soul and whatever hopeful afterlife there is of just like, oh yeah, so I self-sacrificed, so that basically killed my mate.
Yeah.
So you have to think twice about that. Yeah. What he does.
Or two.
Right.
So that leaves it very. So my first read on this, it was very nice because it was a very romantic gesture. It was like yes, till like legit till death. But also now there's especially with there being more books, there's a level of that might come to bite you in the ass. Like if like somebody is actually in trouble, because now there's like a level if the enemies know that, then what? But anyway.
But there shouldn't be anything conflict after this. You wouldn't think.
I mean, I suppose this was supposed to be the end of the original trilogy, but
now there's 2 more novellas and like 2 more books. So hell yeah, there's gonna be conflict after this.
Well, there's already 2 more books out.
Whether or not it's war conflict is something I can't tell you.
Right.
Yeah.
But
it may not be to this extent.
Yeah, so we were going to ask the same thing. But like after reading this book and all the others, like did you have any like predictions for A Court of Frost and Starlight, the next and whatever's to come after?
Well, I think the bone carver showed one, and it showed him being their son. So are they going to, Farrah and Reese going to have a son? They are, see, because they showed he was that. Yes. Maybe that's in the future.
Imagine them popping out a girl the first time is like, that bastard lied.
Yeah. And then, I don't know. I think Nesta and Cass are going to be now. Elaine and
Lucian,
maybe. I see that.
That'll take time though.
They got to work through some things.
Yeah. Cameron, I don't know about her. She's kind of a nomad, kind of.
She's got Varian now, though.
Ooh, yeah. Dude, there's...
I mean, as Tarquin said, like they'll change who gets them on the holidays.
So, is it interesting that all powerful Amren kind of likes? I don't want to say nobody because Varian is very much he's a prince, but this very low level being,
summer guy,
like just kind of a random dude. It makes sense for her actually. But so I want to give you because now I'm allowed to give you this. I never gave Dad this spiel. So first of all, what is left lingering, right? Bryaxis is missing. The human queens are still at large. They gotta navigate that fucking mess. I mean, there's still hybrid people around, but it's, again, they're not like, again, the king's gone. They don't have a leader, but they still have those 3 territories on the continent that were very human hating. They have those people still. They have Vasa and the Kosechi thing. There's so many
and the wall's down.
And yes, the wall is down. But Frost and Starlight is novella. I count it as because it's not. It is integral to the plot.
It is literally just a short book.
A novella is, and again, I know you don't read a lot. Sometimes a novella is a lot in a lot of other novels. A novella is kind of something you can read if you want extra bits of information, but it's not necessarily plot relevant. Well, it says this is very plot, and
so it's not a filler.
I mean, it is filler, but it's also it has
important.
Plot.
I mean, also because it's Sarah, the way she writes, there's always things that come from everything she writes. So it's filler, but it also has stuff in it that is very important.
It's setting up so now what's going to change is, and I can say this because it's, it's not a surprise. Reese and Feyre's perspectives are done. Frost and Starlight, you will get some perspectives from them, but this is a transition between getting their perspective and getting other people's perspective. So from now on, they're not going to be the center of the story. They're going to be in the story still, because obviously it's going to be people in the Night Court that we're watching, but they're not going to be the ones that we're getting the perspective from. So
it's also switching from Feyre's first point of view to a third point of view style writing.
Yeah, so since Feyre was the narrator, when you listen to parts of, because technically Melody still narrates Frost Starlight, but and Anthony narrates his story. But anybody who, because bear with this, SJM wrote it in a specific way to where Reese and Feyre are their own first point of views, but everybody besides them are third point of view because Feyre is the narrator. She's the first person narrator. So anybody else that we'd be looking in on is third. So Silver Flame will all be third person, and also part of it's a transition book, but it's also important because it's transitioning away from their story.
It's like Bridgerton.
Sort of, yeah. Where
You got one season that was these people, and then the next season was these people, but they're still there.
Just briefly, can I ask, like, what do you think is going to happen with Mor? Because you said the other members of the Inner Circle, like Mor and Asriel.
I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen with her. I'm sure, well, I don't know. That's an interesting question. Is she going to find her person? I don't know. Because she said she had that one lady in Valaris ran the...
Right, she went to Rita's.
Yeah, just her and Rita.
I mean... Jinx.
Maybe.
I hadn't considered that, but that would make sense considering it's pretty much a gay club.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because she said something about that. Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, I don't know with her.
Rita is someone like them.
And then
fucking lesbians are a different species.
Well, I said
no,
honestly,
you
sometimes.
Didn't. No, you didn't say that she did.
But I'm
Honestly,
just saying, did the other people find out?
I mean, it's gonna come out. I mean, there's no way it won't. But
and then what about Azrael?
I think he's kind of the lone man out. I think that's gonna be sad for him. I mean, I think maybe not.
You think he'll find? Do you think he'll find somebody that's not? He needs to get out of his own fucking dating pool. He needs to date someone outside of the pool. Is what I think.
Yeah. I don't know about it.
But so again, this next book won't be a lot of action-y things, but it will set up. It's a good transition book because so much happened in this book that it's like it's a settle down after the war piece. I mean, honestly, I can say it. It's basically a Christmas book. It's literally a Christmas novel of like them at their first winter solstice after the war, and it's how they navigate. Or sorry, not winter solstice. I'm sorry. Is it? Yes,
it is.
Yeah,
it's Christmas and winter solstice.
Well, it'll also be interesting to see what happens to Tamlin. Is he pretty much done? I
Mm.
mean,
is his perspective even going to be relevant?
Yeah, that's true. I mean, that's very true. You got your Reese and his inner circle.
He's the bah humbug of the Christmas book.
Well, you got, like I said, you got Reese and his inner circle, and then you got Lucian in there.
Is he gonna stay in the night, or is he going to trouts around like a freaking
Lucian?
like what God? What do they call them? Maybe he does. Maybe he trouts around. Maybe he sleeps around a little bit before he settles.
I don't know. Lucian sure liked Elaine, but I don't know how that's gonna go. I don't know. I think she's kind of vibing on him.
She'll come around.
Yeah.
What if he sleeps around to try and move past because he's like, oh, she'll be happier without me.
Yeah, I don't know.
We don't know, but
it's interesting that Lucian and Reese kind of had the same perspective at some point. That Lucian of all people would understand, or that Reese would understand Lucian of all, because his wife or his mate was married to somebody or betrothed to somebody before.
Which Lucian even mentioned when they were hiding out in the cave in winter.
Now I understand your mate more. Yeah.
Well, he was always seeing the bad side of when they beat up.
And then he gave him night court. He gave him like the nighty clothes, and he's like, "I'm fine."
Well, then Tamlin seen him with his
the Illyrian
leathers and everything on.
It's like,
I still stand by my statement of Tamlin didn't give him any fucking clothes. So what was he supposed to do?
Yeah,
go around naked. I mean,
poor Lucian.
I mean, he
just can't win.
I'm fine with him going around naked, but also he's like the 5th person on that list. Honestly, I'm sorry. He's probably in the top 10. I wouldn't even put him at top 5 of guys that could go around naked.
Wow.
I'm sorry, babe. Lucian's voice? Okay, yes.
You'd see Lucian's voice going around naked.
I'm so sorry, Gabriel. I didn't even mean it like that. I just meant it like that picture of Lucian. Not like me reading. Okay, I'm already dug my hole. But
so on the shovel.
Are you excited then for the next? Even though it might not be as. Yeah. But again, then Silver Flame ramps it up again. So you're not done with ACOTAR yet, but you definitely got to one of the pinnacle point bits. So I'm glad I made you do this. So thank you so much for coming. This is our last episode. I'm glad we got to share it with Dad.
Well, but some of my views are okay.
You brought up a lot of things that we didn't even think about.
Yeah.
So good on you for that. You retained it.
You got us shook at times.
Yeah, we thought so. So again, thank you so much for watching this season. We're so grateful for you and everybody listening. So thank you so much to our listeners. You make this a really great experience, and we can't wait for you to do more. So actually, I wanted to announce this here. 2 major things that are coming up for the season if you've made it all the way to the end. Number 1, Liesl and I will be together soon. We are both making the gigantic out to LA, Los Angeles, and we are going to be together. And now we are going to be recording finally together, doing more content with each other, and or branching out into doing Twitch streams together.
And just other content creation and seeing what sticks.
Which will get you more into us and understand us as people and whatnot. And we're really excited about doing that. So, and being together, So yeah, we're excited to do more of that content. So I wanted to say that. And then, God, what was the other? Oh, so next season, again, will be a smaller season. We will only have 9 episodes.
Including the mini episodes. So 6 main episodes.
And so we will have, 2 of them are confirmed, but we have 2 more interviews next season. Number 1, Nora, the voice of Amryn, is going to be doing an interview interview with us, and Amanda, who is the voice of Morgan.
Mm-hmm.
We're trying to get one more in, but they are 2 confirmed right now. So
The graphic audio voice actors.
Yeah, so we're going to get more interviews with them, and we're so excited to talk to them and see their perspectives, and especially for their characters to come. So we're so excited about that. So yes, please rate and review this podcast. It's good for it only takes a few seconds to rate a review on Spotify, Apple, wherever you're listening to these. Please join our Discord. You can do that by following the Patreon for free, and we will send you the link directly, because there's something weird about the link. If you get Patreon for free, we will give you the link to the Discord. And then again, if you want to follow us even more for exclusive content like video content and early access to audios and my show notes, please, we have 2 tiers on Patreon, the high fave $3 a month and the inner circle for $5 a month. So please go and do that if you want to support us more. Yes, and then last but not least, please follow our Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, all of it for more exclusive reels and our wonderful episode graphics that Liesl makes for us every time. So please go ahead and share those. So we're excited you followed us this whole time, and we will see you in season 4.
I'm excited.
So yeah, we hope you guys have a great evening, day, whenever you're listening to this. So we wish you guys goodbye. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.